And welcome back to Pixels and Pints. You're here with Tom and Pete. It's just a two-man show tonight. No Dan. Fuck him. No, the poor bastard's hugging the old porcelain. He's unfortunately come down with that flu bug that's been going around, so we wish him a speedy recovery. Poor bastard.
Worst time of year to catch it too.
And he's also been working through it. So he's a glutton for punishment, and that's the nicest thing we can ever say about him. But yes, tonight you get myself and Pete. Hi, Pete. And we're going to do the usual. It's kind of our Christmas, New Year's wrap-up episode. Yeah,
we're in what I call the calendar's taint. It's nestled tightly between the fun and festiveness of Christmas and the sometimes good, sometimes painful New Year's.
Yes, we are right in the grundle. We're in the sweat pit. We are stewing where the balls lie. So yes, we're going to talk about we've got some good beers coming up. I think I've got some good beers coming up. I'm sure Pete does too.
I do.
We're going to do some reviews of some pretty good films, I think, as well. I don't think we're all kind of in the same game space, and then a little review of the year that's been, and a preview of the year to come. So
yeah, might be a briefer episode. Let's hope.
Yeah,
we'll see how we go. Lots of news to cover though.
Yes. It's a little, the end of the year, a bunch of movements happening.
We will not be talking about space vaginas. That's one thing we're gonna save for next episode is the space vaginas.
I had the first fucking note in my. I'm so glad you had that, because that's the first thing I fucking saw.
So sorry to decrypt what the fuck we're talking about. We will be deconstructing Rebel Moon's intergalactic vajayjay in the next episode when we're all together in person. So yes. All three of us have seen it. All three of us have plenty to say on the topic.
Once we've breached from the mother world, as they say. Fucking hell.
Anyway.
Snyder, you dick. Anyway, we're going to have some first beers. I'm just pouring mine. Have you poured yours, Pete? What are you having, Pete?
I have. I am drinking Good Folk, which is a brewery I've not heard of before.
Good Folk?
Yeah, based in St. Hamilton, New South Wales. No, Hamilton, New South Wales. Sorry.
St. Hamilton?
Yeah, no, it's actually Beaumont Street, Hamilton. Sorry, I missed where the comma was positioned there. So Good Folk Brewing Company, Native Sour. This is, it's a pretty basic can. It's pretty. It's pink, pretty and pink.
Lovely.
It's
my mother's maiden name is Hamilton.
There you go.
There you go. She's no way affiliated.
I'm glad we clarified that. It's a 6.6%.
Oh, hello.
Sour. Yeah, all my beers tonight are going to be high ABV, and there's nothing I can do about it because I've got 6 beers in my fridge. 2 are above 11.5%.
Lovely.
And the rest are what I'll be drinking tonight. And the lowest ABV, I think, is my next beer, which is a 6%. And then we go up to 7.2, and then we finish with an 8.4.
Well, this is great because I've had a few beers already today.
Because I'll be catching up.
Because we're in the taint and nothing happens. So I'm starting with a mid-strength. So this is a nice little, there we go. Little how you going?
So in terms of the beer, it's interesting. It's got a good tartness to it. I'm getting lots of fruit, but I can't identify the fruit. I'm trying to
say. You said berry sour, was it?
No, it's called native sour, which I'm assuming means it's maybe it's a wild ferment. That would make sense for a sour beer. Just to let that wild yeast
or native citruses or fruits or berries and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm actually just gonna have a quick look online.
Yeah,
because I can multitask.
Can you now?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying just to see if there's any information on. No, just says the brewer's notes are dry, tart, lightly hopped for balance. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what fruit's in it. It's quite nice though. It's definitely fruity though. Maybe strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
And then some stone fruit in the back palate. But nicely tart. Like it's not over the top in terms of acidity, but it has a bit of a puckering wallop to it. And you cannot taste the alcohol. So yeah, I'm going to give that a 4.25 to start my evening. That's thoroughly enjoyable.
Good Folk, haven't heard of them.
No, right. It's always good to throw new breweries into the podcast.
Oh well, this is good then because I've also got a brewery I don't think we would have done before.
Cool.
I am drinking, and I have to say that this was bought for me by my loving partner. So she just took her family up to Magnetic Island, just off the coast of Townsville.
Lovely.
Yes, they narrowly avoided Cyclone Jasper, which was good. Cyclone Jasper, despite the destructive effect it's had on North Queensland, obviously brought much joy to us because Jasper is anything but a cyclone in our house. If anything, he's like a light drizzle. Or just some clouds on a sunny day. He's low energy, So, but no,
that's because you keep him well dosed.
Well, I mean, yeah, he gets the drugs that I should have, yes, to keep me well dosed. But no, they went up there. They had a lovely little island trip. Went out and saw the reef and everything. But yes, they brought back Magnetic Island Brewery. So this is Maggie's mid. I thought after a couple of beers this afternoon, I would have a mid strength. It's Pilsner malt, a bit of flaked rice, which it comes up very, very clear and pale. The hops they've used are Motueka from New Zealand and Sabro. Not happy that I saw Sabro on it because I don't feel like a cocoa roll right now, but unfortunately, that's what I've been given.
That's what you've got.
Yep, there is a bit of coconut at the back.
Dope.
But that said, though, if I was in, mid-Queensland, you say Townsville is? It's not mid-north. You just say mid.
You just say mid.
Mid-Queensland. Yeah. That would go down a bloody treat. That would be delightful. That is perfectly brewed for the area that it resides in. That is really, really light, but still got a bit of flavour at the back. It's quite nice. The coconut comes through. It's not overpowering, which is refreshing for what Sabro can be. Quite like that. I'm going to give that 4.25 as well, I think.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
It's very nice. Yeah. And especially after I had, so just, I was telling you, I had a sour, a red IPA and a double IPA over lunch at the brewery I was at in Bondi. And that's still, the flavour's still coming through after having those. Mind you, I did do a 10K ride back from Bondi Beach to get home. So just to sober up a bit too. Yeah. But yeah, that flavour's still coming through quite nicely, which is good for a mid, 3.5%. So
yeah. Impressive.
Yeah. If you're up Queensland way, pick them up. Well done.
Or North Queensland.
Yes.
Or mid
Queensland.
It's North Queensland. I mean, going much further north and you're in four-wheel drive only territory pretty quickly.
Especially at the moment.
It's also it's based on the weather. I suggest it's several hundred kilometers closer to the surface of the sun too, because it's always 1,000,000 degrees and 500% humidity.
Oh yeah. The humidity is not key. That is painful.
Yeah. All right, let's move into some news.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Starting with a retraction from last episode.
Well, it's not a retraction.
It's not a retraction.
On our part.
It's a development.
It's not a retraction on our part.
Correct.
I think you reported on this last time. Yeah. So the Discovery TV and Sony, so they told everyone that, due to licensing, and it sparked a whole big debate for us about digital ownership. So they said that you were losing, it was something like 1,300 episodes of content that was going to be ripped off the Sony store. And if you'd bought the content, it was ripped out of your library as well. Sony have now backflipped on it, everyone. So if you had bought some... for the next 30 months, see if they renege on that again when it comes to that time. But yeah, if you had bought any of the Discovery TV shows through your Sony account, they've signed a new deal on the licensing, and you get it for another 30 months. So a victory for the people.
So I have 2.5 years to finish Pregnant Behind Bars. I'm relieved.
I think you can.
It is fast becoming my favorite TV show.
I think you can do it.
I think I can too.
I believe in you. And I don't believe in many people. Definitely don't believe in myself. So, that's the key there. I have never bought, I don't think I've ever bought a TV show through the Sony store. So
no, nor have I.
Yeah.
Apple TV, I own a couple of series or seasons of series through Apple TV.
But but it comes back
drunk
down
and desperate to watch something. But
as we spoke about, it's the digital ownership. Like you paid for it, you bought it. Like what who gives them the right to take it away? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a good thing. The Game Awards happened shortly after we recorded last time. We
very happy about this.
Yes. Oh, Peter, you do the honors. You can read the winners.
Okay. So my favorite game of the year,
yes,
Baldur's Gate 3, picked up a treasure trove of gold trophies.
Absolute fucking truckload.
So they were awarded Game of the Year. They were awarded RPG of the Year, Performance of the Year. I'm assuming that was voice
Neil.
Actor performance from Neil Newbon. Yeah.
Yep.
So Neil Newbon picked up best performance of voice actor performance of the year. He voices
Which you
Astarion.
could also argue now is also a character performance because of all the motion capture too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I've made that argument before.
Yeah.
And also picked up Player's Choice Award. You know what? Who was missing? You know which game was completely missing? It's fucking Starfield. Suck a fat one. They've
now,
in
a good way. I thought you were about to say I'm really disappointed that Starfield missed out.
Fuck Todd Howard and everything he stands for. They've now tipped into the mostly negative side of reviews on Steam. So just goes to show what happens when you tell your fans to go fuck themselves. They also Alan Wake 2 picked up game direction, narrative, and art.
Mm-hmm.
And Final Fantasy 16 picked up an award for soundtrack of the year. And
Ed will be happy about that. You're welcome, Ed.
Yeah. I think he actually mentioned that he was rooting for FF16 to pick up that award specifically. I'm not 100% on that. And then adaptation. So this would be game adaptation to TV series was The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Or movie, yeah.
Yeah.
So The Last of Us picked that up. And I'm really happy with that one as well, actually. I think that's a great choice. I don't think there were too many choices this year to pick from, to be honest.
They had five on the ballot. But I think the in terms of the amount of votes, it was The Last of Us 86%, and then the rest kind of got a vote here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
most of them were anime adaptations or animated adaptations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of in the 80th percentiles, there was also a bit of pushback on the Game Awards overall that there was something in the range of only 20 or maybe a little higher than 20% of actual Game Award content at the Game Awards, and the rest was just fucking trailers.
No, the problem was more that Mr. Punchable Face had more celebrity guests endorsing games that they were involved in somehow than they had actual developers up there being recognized for the... Well, they cut a guy off who was accepting an award.
Didn't Christopher Judge actually warn... Christopher Judge actually warned Neil Newbon to keep his thanks speech very short because he'll get kicked off fucking stage.
But they kicked off a guy who was... I can't remember which game it was about, but there was a developer was talking about, and he was trying to do a pretty heartfelt speech about one of the developers that passed away during development of their game, and they got kind of ushered off stage during that part of it.
Oh,
and everyone was like, hey, Jeff Keighley, you punchable face motherfucker, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
so especially, and it comes back to
very tone deaf.
Very tone deaf. No, Christopher Judge, and God, I respect that man for many things. I respect that man for many things, but he made one of the best cracks at Activision when he said during his speech, my speech last year for God of War was longer than the campaign of Modern Warfare 3. And apparently the developers from Infinity Ward and Activision were like, hey, man, that's not cool. And everyone was like, well, put a fucking campaign in, you dogs. What do you want from us? Yeah. I think it was brilliant.
That's up there with Ricky Gervais' Golden Globe. Was it the Golden Globe Awards speech where he said,
which one?
The movie went on so long that Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend was too old by the time he finished the movie.
Yeah. He's not wrong.
Good callback. Yeah.
So the Game Awards got a significant amount of grief for the way they had celebrity endorsements for games, and the celebrities weren't even involved. It wasn't like it was Keanu Reeves coming back to do Cyberpunk where he was active character.
Or Nick Cage in that fucking zombie game.
Yeah, it was just literally hey, we've got a celebrity to talk about this game. That's cool. No one cares. Hey, maybe listen to the developers, which you're meant to be celebrating, rather than some dude who's not even involved in the game industry.
Well, look, they've just been on strike for fucking 2 years, so they're probably hungry and need to put something on the table.
Yeah,
that's
but
probably.
I'm sorry,
what that's
if
about.
Jeff Keighley's meant to be like the dude running the game industry now, like the awards for the game, he should be way more on to the pulse of what the developments and the people want. It wasn't just developers being angry.
This is what happens when you get too big. Like he grew his fan base on the back of, studio executives are disconnected from their fan base. I'm a gamer, follow me instead of them. And that was how he built his platform. And now he's very clearly just as fucking disconnected from the fans.
Yeah.
This is what tall poppy. Anyway, moving on.
Tall poppy, punchable face, motherfucker. And then there was obviously, as we said, there were some announcements and some trailers. I picked a few that I thought were pretty cool. Have you've dug into Valhalla now, haven't you?
Haven't touched it.
Okay. I know Dan and I we've run through the entirety of Valhalla, the God of War DLC. Brilliant epilogue, kind of, and a cool kind of throwback to God of War remake one. Yeah,
didn't they add a roguelite component as well? Is that?
It's not roguelite in this. It's kind of roguelite. It's in the sense
like
of
an arena.
No, which realm? Not Muspelheim. From the first God of War, it's where you have to go around. It's the mist. It's the realm of the mist.
Nesper.
Nipelheim.
Yep.
Nipelheim. L'chaim, nipples.
It's Niflheim.
Niflheim.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So it's the same concept as that. Is like in that you as you
Which
ran
was
around.
Fun, actually, I enjoyed that.
You lost health, but by killing enemies, you gained health, so you could keep going. It was a timed kind of thing. This is that in the sense that it's just once you die, you reset.
Okay.
So it's not that you regain. You can regain health. There's health throughout it. There's all the sorts of power ups you need, but the idea is that you go through You go through every realm in it, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to go back and visit all the realms. But it's like you go through like the Midgard realm, for example. First time you go through it, then you pick a door, you go through that. It's the same door that you travel through the portal, and then you go to the battle section of that. So you go to the hub world and then the battle world.
Okay.
And then you do that, and then you battle a boss, and then you repeat. Once you kill that boss, it's like the end of the cycle, and you just repeat it. So it's
okay.
So
I am going to play the DLC.
So it's great. It's.
We'll probably talk about it more once I've finished it because
we'll wait till you play it. It's definitely one of those things that most people I think who've gone back into it have gone, I can do this. I can play God of War, and then you go into it and you go, oh shit, I died every time.
Well, apparently they've just patched it like in the last couple of days and made it even more difficult.
Yeah,
so
I played
it all.
I played it on what would have been normal. And it was just relearning it more than anything. I think if you went straight into it from the main game, like if you just finished the main story and went straight into it, you'd be on fucking fire.
You'd trounce it.
You'd demolish it, yeah. But you can play it up to like the most punishing level, and it's just like you get better drops and anything when you do that.
I think the significance of it was that it was announced at the Game Awards, but it was announced to say, hey, not only have we got a DLC that no one has heard of and we managed to stay away from leaking,
100%,
but it's dropping in 6 days and it's free.
That's the best thing about it. They know how many people bought God of War Ragnarok, and they're like, here's our gift to you. This is our thanks.
Yeah.
And it's actually full of a really heartfelt story about Kratos's moves forward and like some other characters moving forward. And it's really well. It's written with the same amount of care and love that the main game is, and it's fun. Like it's definitely one of those things. Like I told you guys, I sat down. It was about 7 hours. And I finished the whole story element of it, or the trophy element of it. But it's one of those things. If I hadn't had shit to do in the next morning, I would have kept going. Like I would have played another couple of rounds. Like there was one guy who beat me, and I was like, I can fucking beat you. I'll beat you. Like, fuck you. I'll beat you. Yeah.
Cool.
But it really leans into the old Greek element.
Yeah,
The
good.
soundtrack in particular, and I know Dan wants to talk about this, but the soundtrack in particular is fantastic. It remixes in the old God of War theme into the new style of God of War music.
It's a transitionary stage by the sounds of it, but let's park discussion about it because we'll revisit it definitely when Dan's back.
Yeah.
And hopefully by that stage I'll have fired up the PS4 to play it as well.
Yeah. Some other games I saw that I don't know if you had any that you really saw. Exodus looked kind of cool. It was a bit like Mass Effect-y. So it didn't look anything really new, but it looked fun.
Yep.
We've talked about Black Myth Wukong before. I'm not
crazy about it.
I'm not crazy about it in that it's going to be a Souls game and I suck at them. But it looks amazing. It looks incredible.
Man, I wish you had never warned me about Elden Ring because the more footage I see of that game, the more I want to play it.
Do it. Do it. Let's buy it. Well, hey, this could be a fun thing for the new year. Let's buy Elden Ring together and see how far we get into it before we kill ourselves.
Before we rage quit, yeah. And you can multiplayer through. I don't know if you can multiplayer through the campaign, but I've certainly seen people playing with their friends.
In other people, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, it looks like Kingdom Death. Is it Kingdom Death? Was a game I bought. No. It was a board game I bought on Kickstarter.
Right.
Called Kingdom. I'm sure it's Kingdom Death. There's another word that I'm forgetting the name of, and I'm trying to look it up on my phone right now because it's in my list of. But I've got to sign in anyway. Kingdom Death Monster, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's just this brutal game that does not pull its punches, and you start as this naked group of like 4 humans that are literally naked, and you have to fight monsters, and it's just wave after wave of just the most fucked up, gruesome, sexualized monsters. Like it really does come from a dark place in someone's imagination. There are monsters with like penises and vaginas molded into them all over their body. It's not sexualized, but
it's somehow weirdly, yeah,
it's grotesque. But you wouldn't. I mean, if hell was real, it's not like they'd be. If hell was real, it's not like they'd be pulling their punches and genitalia would be secretly like all hidden. It'd be a part of the gruesome factor. So
no, you'd be dragging these nuts across your chin.
Anyway, moving on. Trying to keep us on time and on track. And
the last one was the Jurassic Park Survival. Looks kind of like Alien Isolation, I guess. Yeah. I think this is the one that Dan was very cryptic about. This is why I wish he was fucking here for this.
Okay.
He was very cryptic about, one game I don't think we'll deliver. That's my Dan impression, by the way. And yeah, I think it might have been that. I think he was calling bullshit on it.
Yeah.
In what it was planning to deliver. The trailer kind of seemed like it was delivering a lot and probably wasn't.
Like that other game that finally got announced as cancelled and no one was surprised. The one that ripped off the poster from The Last of Us and the gameplay.
Yeah.
What was it called?
The Day Beyond?
Day After?
The Day After?
That's it. I think it was The Day After. And we called it out on the podcast as, what is this horse shit? The poster is a direct rip from The Last of Us and The
Division.
And the bullshit footage, because everyone was complaining that we keep hearing about announcements and getting promised that they're in beta, but we haven't even seen alpha footage. Someone show us something. And then they showed a trailer that was beat for beat a direct rip of the Call of Duty Black Ops 2, just transposed into their world. Like even down to the movement of the characters and the lighting effects and shit.
It's been the last month that on Steam, so they've had to refund everyone who paid for it.
Good, fuck those people.
There were also, but that said, there were people who had keys for it who were selling them for, I think the game cost like $100 to buy it on Steam. And there were people selling it for like $400-500 a key to play it. And now they've ripped the servers out. So there's like, for the next 30 days, those people can use those keys. But then I don't think anyone will be able to play it after the next 30 days. It's been a saga. It's been a clusterfuck of a saga just watching it implode.
Predictable outcome.
Oh, absolutely. But yes, what will probably not do that is GTA 6. So we've finally got the trailer for that. People have been asking for it for forever.
Geez, they do a good trailer. I've had
Florida?
no interest.
How good's
I know,
Florida?
right? I know. I've had no interest whatsoever in GTA 6.
Yeah.
And then I begrudgingly watched the trailer knowing we were going to discuss it. I'm like, oh, fuck, they do good trailers.
Shit, they hooked me again.
Yeah, they're fucking great. Some of the my memories of the older GTA games, and even GTA 5, the actual campaign was fucking funny as hell.
Yeah.
And then to set it in Florida, and see some of they've got the keys. So I saw the bridges towards.
It's set in the state of, it's not Leonidas, but let's call it Leonidas. That's basically the word they use for it, which is where Vice City is. So it's back to Vice City. Yeah.
But
which is Florida. It's Florida.
Yeah, they've modelled in the Florida Keys because you see the bridges heading out to
the
Key
map
Largo.
looks massive. Have you seen the map they put out? Holy shit, that's huge.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And I called bullshit when it first came out, but the apparently the record stands. It's smashing YouTube viewed records.
Yeah, 160 million views when I looked at it yesterday.
I just don't see how. I don't see how that's real. 160 million views compared to some of the most popular trailers of all time for the most popular movies of all time are like 50 mil. That's not we just edged our way past the competition. That's triple. Yeah. Triple the trailer views.
I mean, it's still got nothing. I looked at the most views videos on YouTube, and it's still got nothing on Baby Shark and Gangnam Style and all that kind of shit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But I looked at trailers, and I think I posted the numbers to you guys of the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah.
And how many views their trailers got. And these trailers have been on YouTube for like 5 fucking years. I put Avatar up there. Avatar only has 60 million views for the Avatar trailer. And it's been online for what? A decade? So to have GTA 6 and it was within 4 days had like 150 million views. I don't get it.
I still think it's
the
people
algorithm.
I still think it's people reviewing it. It's people who've watched it 20 times
or analyzing the frame by frame.
Yeah, it's frame by frame things and
maybe. But people do that sort of stuff with movie trailers too, especially Marvel movies. Anyway, moving on. You had some really interesting notes around the hacker too.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys we talked about it back in September. So there was a guy who hacked into a bunch of servers. He was part of a hacking group, which I didn't put them in there, but that's fine. He's 18 years old. He released footage of a pre-development GTA 6. He hacked Uber. He hacked Nvidia. He also hacked a company called Revolut, which is a money lending company that's based kind of in Australia, which is scary as fuck. But yeah, so he released all this developmental footage back in September 23. He and another guy were charged. The other dude was given 18 months in a correctional facility. This guy, apparently because he's been given an indefinite hospital order because due to his complex autistic spectrum disorder, he has a fixation with hacking, and they're literally if anyone says to him, hey, hack this, he'll just go and do it. So if he's released...
He's clearly a savant as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
I mean, these aren't small organizations with low-level security. These are some of the largest companies in the world. Nvidia and Uber. Yeah. So he worked for hacking group Lapsus $. I'm not quite sure how they pronounce it. It's probably just Lapsus.
That was probably... Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, and then that leads straight into the next fucking hack too.
Yeah, I'm pissed off about this. I'm pissed. I'm angry. So I don't know if anyone else saw, but there was a ransomware group called Residia, and they hacked Insomniac, which is anyone who's played any of the Spider-Man games. They used to do Ratchet and Clank. They've done a bunch of games over the years. They hacked them, stole a bunch. This is the 12th of December. And they've since released 1.67 terabytes of data, which included a playable build of the new Wolverine game that they're developing. But I think the thing that pisses me off more is they released a bunch of personal information about not only people who work for Insomniac directly as developers and game developers, but they released a bunch of stuff for passport photos and shit for people who did voice acting for them, or people who worked in whatever other department. So
that's fucked.
That's the more fucked thing. They tried to charge Sony and Insomniac $2 million through Bitcoin, of course, because they're they're hacker guys and that's how they work. Sure, whatever. But look,
it's harder to trace than an account.
Hack the shit they're developing and release like some footage and stuff, and people have the choice to look at that or not. But I haven't looked at any of the Wolverine development stuff. I haven't looked at any of the screenshots. I haven't looked at any of the other stuff. The only thing I saw from it was they released a slate of upcoming like Marvel and Insomniac games, and I went, "Oh shit, that's kind of cool!" But I really wished Insomniac could have revealed that.
Yeah, but they're also that slate of upcoming games is out to 2030. There's
bound to change.
There's no chance that everything on the list today is going to make it to production.
Not. Yeah. But the thing that pissed me off is just don't hack people's personal data and release it like that when they're not the people you're attacking. You're attacking the people at the top of the company.
But at the very least, and I'm not excusing the behavior at all because I'm completely the same as you. I think it's completely fucked.
Yeah.
But at the very least, at least they published that employee data publicly instead of selling it on the dark web and then no one knowing that it's been sold.
I get what you mean, yeah.
Because having people's identity stolen without knowing why would have been worse than at least now all of those people whose personal information has been leaked can at least attempt to address that and prevent identity theft to an extent. But the other problem with this whole thing, this whole game, this merry-go-round with ransomware is big companies like this can't pay the ransom because it encourages the ransomware guys to keep stealing the data. At the same time, the ransomware guys have to release the data because if they don't make good on the threat, no one's ever going to pay the ransom anymore. So we're stuck on this merry-go-round of just fucked behavior because of these twats.
But also, do something more productive with your time. You don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
No, I think it's a deserved one.
Yeah, they are. No. It's just don't. The poor
don't fuck
guys
with people's lives.
But the poor guys who are in there, like the art department, and they're creating the I think of the suits that someone created in Spider-Man 2. And I was like, the amount of work that went into those. And that guy goes home at the end of the day, and then he gets an email being like, hey, guys, sorry, some fucking dick in a basement decided to hack our thing, and he's got your passport now, and he's holding it ransom.
How many lives are, you're creating anxiety and
it's just
disruption in so many people's lives.
But they've never done anything wrong. That's the thing that pisses me off, And it's just, look, I'm sure that, some hacker's probably going to hack me now and be like, oh, you talk shit about us and do this. And I was like, fine. Come to my house and do it directly. And I will teabag you. I will teabag you to your face.
Yeah.
You will envelop my balls in your mouth. That's how deeply I will teabag you. Fuck them. They're they're dogs. They're absolute dogs. Anyway, apologies. I said a bad word.
That's fine. It'll be bleeped out. No one will hear it but me. Okay. It's just my perfect ears that get corrupted.
It's true. Pete's very, very delicate eardrums. In good news though, E3's dead.
Which, I mean, who didn't call that?
It's been talked about for a while, but we've been talking about it for ages. But they finally said, "Oh God, we've fucked this. We have fucked this up.
We shut the bed."
Absolutely, they just literally shut the bed. Yeah.
Yep.
But see you later. Look, you were a glorified trailer. You became a glorified trailer dump.
It's a YouTube channel basically. Yeah.
You used to be something important where people were doing tech announcements, but everyone wants to do those separately now. So
that and I honestly I think one of the other factors here is, and you can blame Gen Zers and their short attention span, or you can blame game studios. It's kind of a vicious cycle, but you can't wait a whole year to announce shit anymore.
No, God,
because consumers demand more frequent content. Big AAA titles have to come out more often,
and you don't want to announce too much shit at the same time because it just gets lost in the noise.
In the hype news, totally agree. Next one. Talking of things that are dead, The Last of Us Online is now also officially dead. Which
see you later.
Yeah,
good. Good.
Yeah. So Naughty Dog are focusing on other things. There's, I think, 2. Yeah, well,
they said
more than
one. More than one.
Yeah, ambitious brand new single player games. Now, it's interestingly worded because it doesn't say brand new IP.
It does not, does it?
So
Those tricksy little bastards.
tricksy little hobbitses.
Oh, absolutely.
We did already know that they were working on a third episode to The Last of Us. So that's got to be one of them.
I mean, they've just absolutely got to.
Yeah.
You can't leave us there.
Just to close it out. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm kind of glad, and I'm kind of...
Did you ever play the first multiplayer from Last of Us?
I did not. I have read all about it.
It was horrible. It was shit.
Yeah.
I played it, and it was,
At the same time, The Last of Us Online was supposedly quite a different beast. It wasn't a deathmatch style-ish kind of multiplayer mode. It was a proper survival MMO. Yeah. And I got to say, I'm in two minds. I'm kind of relieved that they're focusing on generating more amazing single-player games, because they're one of the few studios that are focusing on amazing narrative games.
Yeah,
those and the developers behind God of War. But at the same time, it's a really interesting setting to think about a persistent online world to play with your mates. It's an interesting, like the mythos and the world.
They have released that. They've released a roguelite.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Which you can go and play based on which will come bundled with The Last of Us 2 remastered. Why the fuck is that getting remastered so early? Who knows?
And how much are they going to charge? I definitely won't be playing, because I literally just finished the game like 4 months ago. So
they've announced that roguelite in that we get to play as a bunch of characters who you didn't get to play through as the campaign.
But it would have been a cool world to set for. I personally think a online persistent MMO style survival game in that world would have been really cool.
Yeah. But they said the right thing. They said we couldn't focus on that and still make good single player games. We had to pick one or the other. And they
made the right choice.
And they went, look, we make better single player games. Like no one really played the Last of Us Online. There are a few people who played it out of all the people who played The Last of Us. And you can tell, because you can go on any of the trophy websites and you see how many people won trophies for the Last of Us Online on PS3 and then the PS4. And it's not many.
Not many.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one.
Oh, yeah. EA. I think this is cool, because I think they're about to announce some new technology. So I really like the Frostbite engine. I have for a while. I loved Battlefield Bad Company when it first came out.
Yeah.
Just because you finally got to destroy buildings, it just made it feel a bit more realistic. So,
and it's been in every fucking game, every Battlefield game. Oh my god! Since it was Battlefield. Sorry.
Yeah. So EA have announced they're rebranding and they're doing a new direction for Frostbite. So they're going to announce some new tech in the future. They've just literally done a logo rebrand at this stage. It's instead of so they've kept the hand, which is the classic Frostbite hand.
Yeah.
Instead of it being shattered now, it's like a topographical map.
I've been using that for a while, I'm pretty sure.
No, I
rings a bell.
I went onto the EA.
Okay.
Went into the design side of the EA.
I'm making stuff up in my head then.
Yeah, so now it's a topographical map. It used to be like a shattered hand.
Yeah.
Before that, it looked like an ice hand. Anyway.
Did they use it for... No. Sorry, carry on.
Go?
No. I was going to say something really dumb.
Okay. So they used to kind of... EA were really like hammering using this engine into games, and the other part of this is now they're saying like, look, we'd really like the studios that are under the EA umbrella to use Frostbite, but we're not going to force them to use it.
Okay.
So a big thing was, if anyone remembers when Dragon Age Inquisition came out, which I just suffered through again, they forced BioWare to use Frostbite for that, and BioWare never really wanted to use Frostbite for that. So now they're saying like, cool, if you're going to develop a game, so it's kept in-house for all the EA studios that they develop with. So now they're saying, cool, if you don't want to use Frostbite, you don't have to, which is, kind of like...
I think that's a move in the right direction.
Don't use it, but if you could use it, that'd be great.
Yeah. I actually had to look it up because so Frostbite as an engine name was so familiar. I was sure that the Division used it, but Ubisoft's game engine is called Snowdrop, which is very fucking similar thematically. It's just weird.
Why do
That's why I got the wires crossed in my head.
Yeah. Frostbite was first used in 2008, Battlefield Bad Company.
Yeah.
Great game. This one's for you, Pete. I left this in here for you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. So Warhammer, Games Workshop and Amazon have finalized the deal for TV and movie production
Signed
rights.
off.
So they did announce in December 22 that they were in discussions and it was very likely to go ahead.
Yes.
So the new announcement just makes it kind of more official.
Yes.
They've actually put pen to paper. They've signed over the rights. They have 12 months. So Amazon Studios have 12 months to present their plan back to Games Workshop. So it's not guaranteed that we're actually going to get any content, just that they've licensed the intellectual property rights.
No, everyone said on this that we're not expecting any content until at least late 25.
No, correct. Well, I actually think it's more like 26, but more
I think you're actually right, yeah.
This initial deal's only 12 months to pitch.
Yes.
So they got a 12-month window to pitch what they're going to do with the intellectual property rights now that they've got a license to pitch on them. And then they'll go into production for anything that's greenlit past that point. Cavill is confirmed as executive director. There's a 0% chance that he won't end up starring in some of it. But we are talking about a universe. So they're not just creating a show or a movie. They're creating a cinematic universe set in the Warhammer 40,000 world. So they will be doing multiple TV shows and movie spin-offs they've already confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking excited if they can get it right. And if The Last of Us is anything if that's the kind of the standard that we use moving forward, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Fallout TV series, if they can maintain that standard, then I'll be in a really happy place for that.
I think the bigger thing to consider now is that it's an Amazon Studios project again, which Fallout is and Rings of Power was.
Yeah, I'm in two minds. Well, who's doing Rings of Power now? Because season 2 is due out.
Amazon's still doing it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay.
They just moved
as past tense.
Oh, sorry. They just moved where they were filming it. They're not doing it in New Zealand anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm in two minds on the studio because I think the Rings of Power was not a great example of production and set design.
And pacing.
The acting was great. The storyline was okay. Like, it wasn't breathtaking, but it wasn't terrible either.
No.
So
Fallout's the next test. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what that churns out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to see Cavill in a giant armor suit, like a Hulkbuster. Yeah.
But there's so much depth to that universe. Like there's maybe 50 novels set in that universe beyond the games, and the game itself has like 30 years of history, maybe more.
Yeah.
Now, from Rogue Trader to now. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there if they can get the themes.
Do you think they'd pick on a certain? Do you think they'd just focus on
company?
A certain era, or?
Well, it's all set in the same. Well, look, there's story arcs. If you look at each release of the game, because they're up to like the 9th edition, I think, or the 8th edition of the Warhammer 40k rule set, and each rule set comes with its own kind of major story arcs, and then they've done campaigns, and every time they see a dip in sales, they run another campaign. You have to come into the store to play. I think a lot of that's changed now. It's probably all gone digital. I've been out of the game for a long time now, but there is lots and lots and lots to draw on. The one thing that I really hope they navigate around is leave the fucking Horus Heresy alone. They've done it to death now. They re-platformed the whole fucking board game on throw out all of your 40k miniatures and buy these new ones that is set 10,000 years before your miniatures. So it's all kind of old but new. And it's just, I don't know, maybe for a new generation of kids it has the same shine that the old stuff had for me, but it lost its shine for me the minute they made that move. And then they released a shit ton of books covering the Horus Heresy. So I think maybe that'll be a TV series that they do, but I don't think if they start there, I think it's a mistake.
Okay.
I think they should focus. They've already said they want to focus in on Space Marines. It'll be something cool like an Inquisitor. They were already lined up at one stage to, I think they were already talking about a show like 2 years ago that fell apart, based around a particular Inquisitor who, basically has to, it's xenophobia, right? That is the core theme of the Inquisitors, is to stamp out the mutant and the heretic from mankind.
Yeah.
And so they could go in the direction of the Eldar or the Orcs or the Tyranids. They can, whatever major foe they want to pick for the arc, but it's actually more about interrogating their own people. I think it's very, they could go down that whole burn the witches kind of path, and that's really what that's based on.
I was actually thinking then when you said that, like it could go down a whole like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy kind of like.
Yeah, they could certainly do that, but it's got some real.
I mean, it's a bit hard to be a spy when you're in giant clanking armor, but
Well, and if they do that, then it's very much chaos as the bad guys, rather than the chaos vortex, rather than the xenophobes or the xenomorphs. But I'm thinking more like Witches of Salem style stuff. I mean, that's why they were called the Inquisitors, right? They were going around and interrogating suspects that had been potentially chaos-tacked.
As the expert in it, what is that what you want to see? Or is there a different arc you'd like to see? Where would you take it?
I think it needs to be accessible. So I'd start with the Ultramarines, which were the template for all Space Marines, and follow their chapter. They're the goody-goody two-shoes of the fucking Space Marines. They were uncorrupted.
The Boy Scouts.
They were simple. Yeah. And then attach an Inquisitor, because the Inquisitor doesn't belong to a Space Marine chapter. Traditionally, it was its own part of the Imperium. And so attach an Inquisitor who doesn't reveal his true intent and basically just uses the Ultramarines as their vehicle and their police force or to prosecute their orders in a planet and start there. That's where I would start.
Okay.
But like there's so much good content to draw from. That's why I'm kind of excited. I'm grinning like a school child inside. Even down to some
also externally too. We can see
also externally. Some of the content, like and I don't want to get because I don't want to stall the episode.
Do it. Yeah.
But there's some books that they released around Armageddon, which was a set of rules for Titans. So the really, really big miniatures that you had to go to Games Forge World to buy that cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds sterling. And they released a bunch of books with the rules in it, but these were large format books. So they're like that big.
Yep.
For those playing at home, we're talking like 35, 40 centimeter tall, big ass books.
Yeah.
And they had the rule set in it, but they also had like 150 pages of just narrative around. They picked a couple of forces to focus on to exemplify the new war machines or introducing in that chapter of the book. And so they would have like trench warfare described in this narrative form on a death planet where there was gases that could corrode the Space Marines the minute they took off their masks.
Yeah.
And just talked about this war of attrition. You got like 150 pages of narrative just wedged between these rules. And there's 15 of these books. And so any one of those books could easily be turned into a TV series if they were smart about it.
When were those released?
15 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 10 to 15 years ago.
I just think of like, because my brother, I think I said this to you guys before, but my brother played the original Warhammer, and like he painted miniatures, but it's back when it was fantasy, so it wasn't doing 40K. But I remember the book he had, which I devoured. There was the rule book that he had, but it was the same thing. It was like not quite A3, but just a bit bigger than A4.
Yeah. And
it was between all the rule sets. There was just this narrative of how these are how the Wood Elves would do it. And like if you had the ability to climb up the trees, then they do that. And they do sieges from in the trees kind of thing. Like so you had Wood Elves and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But you gotta remember, on top of dozens upon dozens of novels, like they're as big as Dragonlance now. So the original, when you say original, it's the Warhammer universe as opposed Warhammer Fantasy as opposed to 40K. Because 40K, I'm pretty sure came first actually. Because certainly Rogue Trader was around in the 80s, around the same time as AD&D. So Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, like the red box.
Yeah.
And it was, but you got to remember, for each set of rules, they then release armies books, and those armies books are very similar, and they're only maybe 100 thin, like paperback pages.
Yeah.
But again, they're A4 in size, and there's 10 pages of rules, and the rest is narrative. And so they'll do that for the Wood Elves. But then there's 10 versions of the rules. So they've had to rewrite that book 10 times and add new content about new heroes and new stories and backings. So there's so much to draw from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be interesting because if they're smart and they end up with a helmsman, and it won't just be Cavill, but I actually think Cavill's got that spark of stick to the content and see through the here and now shiny bullshit that the fans want to see and see the real depth to the narrative and present that instead.
Mm-hmm.
I get the impression that's the sort of guy that he is. If he can nail it the same way Foggy does, then I think you've got another MCU contender.
Yeah, right.
if they play it smart. In terms of the depth and breadth of that universe,
yeah.
there's a lot you could do with it. From like,
well, I mean, the first thing they need to avoid doing is just dropping little Easter eggs that never develop. That's the one thing that's always pissed me off about the MCU. There's so many characters that they've been like, oh, this guy's coming in. And it's like, no, he's not. You're never going to.
The problem with the MCU, well, look, I think more broadly, the problem with both the DC universe and the Marvel universe is they're based on comic books. And comic books, whilst they have told lots of really cool story arcs over the years, they're also circular by definition.
Oh, they reset themselves every couple of years.
They're about to reset themselves again.
Absolutely,
So, no one ever dies. And really the comic arcs focus on this bad guy fighting this good guy because that particular permutation's not been done for 40 years.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately just, I've got 100 good guys and 100 bad guys, and I need to pick 2 random from each side, and then I'll mash them together, and that's my arc.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately it had 30, 40 years of legs, but it's kind of already running out of steam. We're already seeing that.
Well, I mean, I think about the last big development from like the MCU, for example. Well, you think about the 52, the new 52, the old 52, any whatever 52 you want to fucking pick.
I think it's a good segue into the next point, actually, which I've set up for you.
Yes, you have. So Marvel have parted ways with Jonathan Major. He was found guilty of the charges, and they literally dropped him like 4 hours later. Yeah. Obviously, they've been planning for that.
Yeah,
they had it.
They knew what they were going to do. Yeah, They would have had a media release on either side of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a bit upset about I'm not upset by the fact that he's been found
You think they
guilty.
made the right decision, but it's still upsetting that
I really like Jonathan Majors as an actor.
Down.
Yeah. But I'm sad that it's come to this for him, but I'm obviously glad that he's been found guilty of any crime that he committed. But
he was actually acquitted of quite a few of them as well.
Yeah, but it's a shame because I thought he was a really good actor. I really liked him in Lovecraft Country, which was the HBO thing. I really liked him as an actor in a bunch of things he'd done. And it's just a shame to see an up-and-coming actor who's let his whatever happens in his personal life come out, and but he's committed crime and he's been charged. So that's all you can say on it. It's just a shame because I enjoyed watching him as an actor. And look, once he serves his time, if he wants to make a comeback, do it the right way.
Oh, I think he's going to have a tall building to climb to come back in Hollywood after that.
Plenty of people have done it.
True.
Robert Downey Jr. is the perfect example.
Yeah. Hugh
For different
Grant,
reasons.
like this,
different reasons, obviously. But yes, Hollywood has done this before. And look, if he wants to climb the ranks again after he's served his time, he's done his due diligence, let him do it. I say. It's just a shame. But yeah.
I know this is horrible. This is going to sound horrible because it is a horrible thing to say, but I think it really might have helped Marvel out of a little bind because to me, they painted themselves into a corner with Kang. I've been saying from the very beginning that I don't think he's a credible threat to propel the universe as a whole forward. He was summarily dispatched in Quantumania.
They've handled him poorly.
Yeah, fucking oath. So this gives them a get out of jail free card for poor fucking writing. So depending on how they handle this now and who the new big bad is, and there's already talk about the Beyonder, which I think is an overly complicated mistake for them to make, to be honest with you.
There's also a lot of talk about Doom.
Yeah, okay. But we just get a crossover and get Darkseid in? Because fuck, why not?
Well, yes.
We've got space vaginas. Here's a mother box.
Mother box.
That's exactly where I went.
Oh, no, I've lost it. It's gone. It's just, it's a tricky time for the MCU. Like, they've obviously come off one of the shittest years they've had. But also, I don't think it's
finished.
Here we go. It's like capitalism. How can you just fucking keep growing? Eventually, you run out of room to grow.
Which, mate, we're about to see Amazon
Absolutely.
Prime ads. We are paying for cable TV to show us ads.
Yep.
We're just at that point. Yeah.
And then we've talked about there's a company coming out that's like, hey, we're going to bundle all these streaming services together and you just pay us one thing. And it's just like, oh, so cable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Streaming cable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway, long story short, this is either their chance to grow or to go, you know what? We dominated for 10 years.
It's more than that. It's more than that.
12, 14.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Let's just 10 years is a round number, but let's use that as an example. But it's kind of a nice thing. You go, yeah, cool. We had a really, really good 10 years. We made a fuckload of money. And now it's kind of like, look, do we temper everything back? Do we release 1 or 2 films a year? Do we wrap up some old things? Do we finally bring in the X-Men? Do we not? Like,
but the problem is, I think Disney invested so fucking much money in buying it that there's no way they can survive winding it down or slowing it down now and still get a return on that investment. I don't think it's likely.
They really want to, for everything I read, they really want to slow down the TV side of it. Keep the movies going.
Yes.
TV
and on the TV side, so that's a good segue. So the Echo trailer was released. It looks okay. I mean, obviously Echo and D'Onofrio were both introduced in I want to say Hawkman? No, not Hawkman. God, I'm getting my fucking crossover now. Hawkeye. Is it a Hawkeye?
They were introduced in Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yeah. It was Hawkeye.
It was.
Look, D'Onofrio is fucking fantastic. I thought Echo was an interesting character. She's obviously a broken human and fits perfectly into that Hawkeye kind of mini universe.
And with Daredevil introduction as well.
And with the Daredevil, and you actually did see a couple of seconds of footage with Daredevil in it in the trailer. If you look carefully, I'm okay with that series. I will watch that. Madam Web, that's a movie, I think.
Yeah, it's Sony trying to use the Spider-Man thing to keep it alive.
It was such a confused
holy
fucking
shit!
trailer.
What the fuck was that?
And like all I got out of it was it's going to be. And look, this is. I am risking sounding sexist, even though that is absolutely not the intent or the thought process behind it. But to me, it came across as the all-girl Ghostbuster movie trailer. It just we're going to.
You're not the only one.
Okay, cool. I want to sound like a twat, but at the same time, it's just like it's girl power is set in Spider-Man, but like okay, but can you not make that cool? There's so much content to draw from that would have made that cool, and you just shat the bed.
Well, I mean, we've seen it from one trailer, so let's wait till the movie comes out. But like, there's not much hope. But
I thought they did a better job of bringing in Mary Jane as a female Spider-Man universe character in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, she
would have been brilliant. Just put her on fucking screen and build an arc around her.
No, the problem is that they've had some writer go, "Hey, we want to create a female Spider-Man movie. There's all these characters they've created in the comics. Let's just pull them out, and then we use one character that kind of connects to the Spider-Verse. Like in the comics, Madam Web is a thing, but she's more like ethereal than anything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's a poor treatment of that character for a start. But then they're just going to...
She can see the future. And she has some random other chicks that aren't even her girlfriends.
But they're just literally they're just shoving in other characters for the sake of shoving in other characters, literally. And look, if the movie comes out and it's one of the most thought out pieces of comic book literature we've seen in forever, I will not eat my hat because it's new and I like it, but I will take several shots in an episode. I'll do an alcohol punishment. But but otherwise, I don't see how they can just I don't want to say hand fisted. I want to say like a clay ball in a pneumatic hammer, just like that. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's going to work.
No. Anyway, let's move on.
To the most
the other massive turd.
accolade-filled comic book universe in movie cinema history. The DCEU is finally done. Everyone can just breathe a sigh of relief.
I didn't even know Aquaman 2 had been released, to be honest with you.
I only knew this because I saw it on a bus the other day.
Right.
Yeah. So Aquaman 2 has finally been released in cinemas. I won't be watching it because the first one was like a 12-year-old shat on his own dick.
Look, and
I've said what I said.
It's interesting. It's interesting. So right. You in your notes you've said it's now officially over and now in the hands of James Gunn and Peter Safran to breathe some life back into it.
This is the last film out of the DCEU.
Yep. Yeah. And interestingly, and so they're going to do some Elseworlds movies, and I'm actually kind of interested in some of the Elseworlds content. So they're doing a Joker sequel, and they're doing
that is still being filmed.
They're doing Colin Farrell's Penguin TV series, and I think that he will carry that on his back.
And a Batman 2, obviously.
And a Batman 2.
The Batman 2.
Yeah. And I'm actually really excited for all three of those pieces of IP.
Yeah.
I don't know where James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to go. They've both got...
Well, they're focusing on that Superman Legacy film.
Which is the first film in the series. They haven't announced who's playing Superman. They've said they're
Nicholas Hoult is playing Lex Luthor.
Yeah, which I can see that actually. Yeah. But the actor they pick to play Superman will make or break that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they'll either have the gravitas, and this is the thing that they really struggle to.
Apparently they have released a Clark Kent, David Corenswet.
Okay, you're going to derail this episode with me googling that.
Apparently, So
David Cornsweat.
David might taint sweat. David Corenswet is playing Clark Kent. Rachel Brosnahan is Brosnahan. Sorry,
is this confirmed?
I'm going off Google right now. Is playing Lois Lane. Isabella Merced is Hawkgirl. Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor.
He was in
Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner. David. That's the fucking dude they picked.
David Corenswet. He looks familiar. He looks like he was in a military movie, or a straight to Netflix movie. Anyway, we'll have to do some more research when you're not listening to us type.
Yeah.
I think that will make or break where that goes. Both James Gunn and Peter Safran, I'm going to say something a little bit out there. They have a spotty history. They've had some real cracker movies, and they've had some really kind of movies. So it's going to be interesting.
I will say, looking at a picture of David Corenswet right now, the dude he's got a fucking jaw and a half.
He does. You
Jesus,
can see it.
Wow. You could cut cheese with that thing.
And boy, does he look a lot like Henry Cavill in some of the comparison.
Does he
shots.
Ever? Hello, Henry Cavill Jr. How are you going? Can't wait for him to do the on fire, muscly shirt walk out of the river.
Yeah. Jesus. So anyway, we're going to move on to, I think, our second beer review, I think, is where we need to go.
I'm basically finished my second beer because we've been talking so long.
Sorry, listeners. No. The news always kills us. That's where we stall at the start.
We don't, because the people love our view on the news. Because we are the independent breaker down. What have I been drinking? I have been drinking the Cali Daze American Pale Ale by Garage Project. It is sensational.
Oh, nice.
It is a very nice, really, there's nothing left. But it's a really malty American Pale Ale. They say they use the best of the US hop harvest. So they've used Cascade, Chinook, and Centennial. It is, deliciously hoppy, but really approachable. If you see this I know this only came out a few months ago. If you still see some cans, I really recommend grabbing it. It's very good.
It's nice ale.
Yeah, American Pale Ale. Yeah,
we don't do a lot of APAs anymore.
No,
or any kind of pales for that matter.
It's 4.6%. Sorry.
Yep, that's right. Already wrote it down.
Yep. It's really good. So this is based on cool. So this recipe is based on their Happy Pale Ale.
Yes,
or the Happy. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Very good.
Nice.
It's also a beautiful can. That is a really nice picture of.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. From where I'd rather be.
Out of 5?
4.5.
Yeah, right. Nice.
That's really solid. I'd definitely get 4 to whatever pack of those and just happily put them all away. Really good. Yeah.
Nice. I am drinking Snake Farm from White Bay, which is a West Coast IPA. Pretty sure it's 6%.
Ooh, I had this on tap. I was very lucky to have this on tap.
It's fucking Citra in a can.
Oh, it's so good.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oh, it's so good.
It's just it's pith.
They've just fucking nailed it.
It's shit tons of pith. And in my opinion, it's more grapefruit than other citrus fruits. Mm-hmm. It's got that real bite to it. It's nice and fresh. it's hoppier on the nose than it is on in terms of flavor. You get that greenness. It's not dank, but you do get a greenness on the nose. But yeah, no, it's 100% Citra. I'd bet the farm on that. And at 6%, it's perfectly balanced too.
How many farms do you own?
I own many farms. We're not allowed to talk about those. Magistrate said. So I'm going to give that a 4.25. I'm a little bit sitting on the fence because it's not the best WC IPA I've had, but it's fucking well put together. It's enjoyable. I think it would, for me personally, get a little bit palate fatiguing if I had too many in a row. Particularly as we've been talking too much, it's warmed up a little bit. But anyway, let's move on to some mini reviews. And it's up to me now to get us back on time. So I'm going to blitz through these. A couple of things.
What are you starting with?
I'm going to start with Dumb Money, which is a movie.
Dumb Money.
I really recommend this. It actually came up in the 2023 top 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm happy that it did because I think it's well deserved. So, directed by Craig Gillespie and starring Paul Dano, who you will know from.
Isn't he in the Batman?
Yes, he's the Riddler in the Batman. Yeah. Also, Pete Davidson, who has been in a bunch of shit, but you probably know him better than I do.
Oh, the GameStop movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's correct. And Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
So Dumb Money is based on the real life story of Reddit's, and I've got a personal connection to this story too, which I think I found really cool for me, but no one else will give a shit. So this is the
you
Reddit.
Invested in GameStop.
I came really close, Tom, as part of this because I was following this in real time as it was unfolding.
Yeah.
So this follows the story of a bunch of retail investors, basically mums and dads and people like you and I, with $10 here, $100 there, thousands of dollars later, to invest in the money market. Right. It was built around. So a guy on Wall Street Bets, which is a subreddit on the forum group Reddit or the forum website Reddit, wrote basically an article about why he likes GameStop as a share. Now, at the time, and his name was Roaring Kitty, so that was his Reddit name.
Classic.
Yeah, exactly. And he's sitting in a fucking basement in his house. Like, he's not sitting in his mum's house. He's sitting in his family's house. He's got a girlfriend. He noticed that a shit ton of major hedge funds in the US were shorting the stock. And he believed in, and he actually worked at GameStop. It's kind of where, did he work at GameStop? I think he did. I can't recall. No, he didn't. Anyway, I'm talking out my ass. But he thought it was a decent investment. The problem is shorting stocks against the big boys is an almost guaranteed way to lose money.
I've seen The Big Short. I understand that reference.
So well, and that's exactly what they did, right? Wall Street were shorting the position. They were basically betting. GameStop was a dying company, and everybody knew it.
Yeah.
It was like it was going the way of fucking Blockbuster.
Yes. Yeah.
So they had failed to digitize. It's kind of like EB. EB would be dead already were they smaller. That's the reality. As a company, EB Games is already on the way out.
If Australian internet was better, EB would be definitely dead.
Yeah. So and GameStop was essentially the American EB Games.
They're the same parent company, weren't they?
I think so. The branding's very similar. But I think
GameStop actually used to be called EB, and then it became GameStop.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So the point was, shorting stocks, and we're not going to go deep into this because I'm trying to get things back on track, not derail them, but basically it's when...
No, we're having a full financial breakdown of GameStop over the last 20 years. Thank you.
It's when you bet that a share value is going to drop or gain, but you take a short position.
Yeah.
And you make money if you're right on whatever bet you place. And so Roaring Kitty noticed that the big hedge fund companies had taken a massive, in fact, it was the largest short position on Wall Street at the time. Right. And so he was like, no, fuck these guys. GameStop's cool. They sell video games. I'm going to take the opposite position on them to the tune of $53,000. And then he wrote an article on Wall Street Bets, Reddit, and basically encouraged everyone else to follow suit. And when I say encouraged, he was interrogated by the SEC and the FBI for whether or not he actually encouraged people or not. All he did was present his findings and his basis for why he invested. That's all he did. He didn't actually technically encourage anyone else. He just justified his position.
Right.
A little time, he was basically ignored, but a little time afterwards, Wall Street Bets picked up on it, and basically fuck tons of people went, nah, these big, rich hedge funds can go fuck themselves. We believe in GameStop, and they started buying shit tons of stock. And because Wall Street had placed short positions against a drop in value, and suddenly there was a 8,000% increase in value, Wall Street lost billions of dollars. And when
also, the stock market is dumb and made up.
Well, yeah. But when I say lost billions, I mean they lost a total of $23.6 billion on GameStop shares, including one single fund, Ventura. I can't remember the name of it. I didn't write it down.
They sound like wankers.
Lost 30% of their total investment fund, which is a very fucking big deal.
Yeah.
In the end, most of these people were buying their stocks on an app called Robinhood, which was an investment app. It's an iPhone app. It was designed to allow mum and dad and you and me to place small bets on the stock market. It was supposed to make Wall Street accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
That's why it was called Robinhood. In the end, while Wall Street was losing billions of dollars, they appealed to the federal government saying that shorting stocks should be made illegal, even though Wall Street invented the concept and had put at least $23.6 billion on shorting those stocks themselves against GameStop. But basically appealed to the Senate, appealed to the SEC, and
appeal to the people who'd put the fucking money behind their company. Let's be completely real. Yeah.
And Robinhood took the decision to block people from buying more stock, thereby killing the whole momentum.
Yep.
And causing
the
whole stock to tank. So this is the movie. The movie outlines this story. It is very similar to The Big Short in terms of the way that it's presented. It's accessible for people that don't understand the stock market. I certainly don't understand the stock market. Unfortunately, it also ends the same way, which is the SEC and Congress got involved in the situation, found that there was some wrongdoing, placed all the blame at the wrong people, and walked away changing nothing.
Sounds about right.
So the rich fuckers got away with it, and the little guys got prosecuted. And in fact, he was Roaring Kitty was heavily prosecuted. I don't know I can't remember what the outcome was. I think he got away with it. People, mums and dads, and like random Joes made hundreds of thousands of dollars out of this whole process. But a lot of people got burnt as well, and they got burnt not because the market changed, not because the share price changed, but because Wall Street basically
got a little upset that someone beat them at their own game.
They colluded to re-rig the game. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. They rigged the fucking game. Same thing that happened with The Big Short, where the mortgage market crashed and ultimately caused the fucking global financial crisis. And what did the US government do as a result of the GFC being caused by bullshit money markets? Absolutely nothing. So, really fucking good movie. Some great acting in it. Really interesting story. And one that hits pretty well home, because it could have been any of us getting caught up in that. And like I said, I very nearly did.
Yeah, right.
So, and then the other thing I wanted to quickly review was the Take a pause.
No. How was the performance in the film?
It was excellent. No, that's like I said before. The acting was great.
You just talked about what actually happened.
The story. Sorry.
Yeah. How was the film?
Really well put together. Really funny in a, this is all going to end badly for the good guy kind of way. Like it was like cathartic. Cathartic's not the right word. But it was funny. It was well written.
Yeah.
It was really well acted. I like Paul Dano. I haven't seen him in too much, but he's kind of an offbeat.
He's the offbeat
weird,
growing guy.
Relatable. But super relatable. He's the guy next door.
And I actually mean this in the nicest possible way about Paul Dano. He's kind of like a weed. He's just growing despite whatever's thrown at him.
Yeah. I can see that.
Which is an accomplishment in Hollywood. Like, if you can grow despite whatever's thrown at you, like, yeah.
Some interesting. D'Onofrio was almost a cameo. Nick Offerman was an almost cameo. Like, they've got more scenes than would technically be a cameo, but
yeah, okay.
Sebastian Stan was in it. Like, there's a lot of really big names that appear for a very short period of time. I can't. remember.
Which is kind of like a way of like making the film more valid than it. Like, not that it would be. The like
it's a way for big name actors to
up.
take a position on the situation without actually saying anything. In my opinion, there's a lot of names on the list, and there are a lot of well-known names on the list of actors that were in there for 10 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Including one that for the life of me, I will keep. Seth Rogen was in there as well, and actually plays a decent-sized role.
Right.
But as a bad guy, which I thought was interesting for him as well.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Well, bad guy from a Wall Street perspective, but yeah.
I mean,
anyway, worth watching. I highly recommend the movie. It's really interesting, intricate, relatable, and funny in the same way that the Big Short was.
Which is
because you're dealing with a real life story.
Great film. Yeah.
You know you're dealing with a real life story, and that it has some gravity to it in terms of the outcome because it did actually happen.
Yeah.
It's not just someone's narrative. The other thing I wanted to quickly cover, and I'm going to try and do it really quickly,
because you've been banned for this for years, and I'm excited for you to talk about Doctor Who again. So talk about Doctor Who.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out over the long term. So Doctor Who's released their 4 episode specials, or 4 special episodes. And they've done this before. And I'm not going to go through them one by one per se, but Tennant came back, as did Catherine Tate, and did the first 3 episodes. So they're technically the 3 specials.
Okay.
And the 4th was episode 1 of the new season.
I've seen them come up on Disney Plus, but I have not watched them.
Yep. I highly recommend them. They were actually a lot of fun. But the first 3 episodes are technically non-seasoned episodes because they're specials. And then the 4th episode is Ep 1 in the new season, which I think is season 14. He is the 15th Doctor, which is Nakudi Gatwa.
Yeah.
So the first 3 episodes starred Tennant and Catherine Tate. And the 3rd episode introduces... Fuck. Sorry. My speakers were supposed to be off. I don't know what happened there. The 3rd episode also introduces the new Doctor, Nakudi, and then the 4th episode... Tennant has turned into Nakudi. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that, but...
everyone knew. If you didn't know what was happening and you're a Doctor Who fan, you weren't paying attention.
And Russell T Davies came back for all 4 episodes and is now show running again. And so anyone
he wrote all 4 specials?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And so anyone who doesn't know Doctor Who, Russell T Davies was the original showrunner and creator for the relaunch back in 2005 that's brought Doctor Who back from the dead, essentially. So... yeah. The first 3 episodes with Tennant and Catherine Tate. Look, Catherine Tate is an actress that grinds me, but grew on me over the Tennant episodes.
Yeah, I've spoken with you about Tate before. I've never gotten into her as an actress.
Yeah, she's polarizing, and I can't stand her in anything else, to be honest. And she drove me, and she annoyed me in Tennant's Doctor Who's episodes as well. But she grew on me over time. As someone who was just like a no bullshit, she's quiet, she's just energetic, and let's just go do this now, rip the Band-Aid off fast. That's just her whole ethos, and that kind of grew on me.
Yeah.
I did find, and I'm going to be really clear here, so I'm going to criticize the episodes, but how did I say? I said this really eloquently before with you, but I'm kind of not sure how to say it now. To be clear, I'm going to criticize the episodes and the way they handle the diversity content, but it doesn't represent an opinion I'm making on the underlying concept of diversity in TV, right? So the way they presented the content is separate. I think that's
a very good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't represent my opinion of the real life stuff. I
understand where you're coming from. Yes.
Yeah. The first episode really, really ham-fisted non-binary, a gender non-binary actor and a character. So it's both an actor. I'm fairly certain they are they them, or a non-binary actor playing a non-binary role. To be honest, though, they talked about them being non-binary. I don't know what their pronouns are in the series or in real life, but to me, they were presented in the episode as a trans woman, but then referred to themselves as non-binary right at the end. But it was the way they dealt with that. They made such a big deal out of it, as in that person being non-binary literally saved the universe. And if they had been, male or female, then the world would have ended. Right. And the way that it was presented was just really shoehorned in, and it felt really clunky and ham-fisted. I just, with Russell T Davies coming back, Russell T Davies is pretty well known for being very active in presenting LGBT themes in BBC or in the UK on TV.
Yeah.
I think he's done a really good job of it, by the way. I think Torchwood pushed it for me a little bit. Every character was either gay or bi, and it became almost central to the themes. And to me, that's not about inclusionism. That's just about pushing an agenda for representation as opposed to representation itself, which is okay. It has its place. It needs to be.
Yeah.
It needs an outlet.
You need someone to run so other people can walk, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. And it needs an outlet, right? But
yes.
Does it need outlet in Doctor Who is where I would kind of question it, and that's kind of a personal thing, because the thing that comes with it, though, and I really want to say this, and I don't know if it's because of him being a gay man and being out in an industry that traditionally wasn't that tolerant not too long ago, but he also does existentialism so fucking great. And that's what made Doctor Who so spectacular when it first came back, was it is very much about being human and the values that are being human and the value in every individual. And a lot of those themes were what made Doctor Who special for me originally. And you could see that spark in these 4 episodes come back. But at the same time, you also saw a lot of agenda being pushed. So,
but is it, I guess this is the only thing I would say to that would be, is it pushing that agenda now so that when it comes to the new series, he can use that spark to naturally bring those views for people who are in those communities to make it like more acceptable for them. Yeah,
maybe. Oh, look, I mean, I remain
also,
cautiously
we don't know
optimistic.
what he's going to do in the series. Like,
I remain cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
he's so
he's a brilliant writer, and I think he would do it justice. Yeah,
you say that, and yet, like I said, it was really clunky and ham-fisted the way that he dealt with the non-binary.
Did he write it all?
He wrote and directed it.
Did he write it all himself though?
That first episode, yes. That's his episode.
Yep.
And then the 4th episode where Nakuti Gatwa, the new Doctor, the 15th Doctor, is now taken over. He's the first Black Doctor, which I think is great.
Yep.
He's also the first... He's he's certainly queer and he's non-binary.
Yes.
And I thought about that too, and I, from a position of, do I really need any kind of sexuality in my Doctor Who? But in reality, if you go back not too long ago, Tennant...
It was all about sexuality.
Well, I don't know if it was all about sexuality, but Tennant has certainly made several comments about sleeping with Queen Victoria, and that's what started Torchwood, and that's why she fucking hated him. So, fair play. They have sexualized the Doctor in the past, so I can tolerate a level of sexualization now.
I get where you're coming from, though. Like, does the Doctor need
anything?
Any sort of sexuality, yeah.
Apart from, okay, he fell in love with Rose, fine. But then at the same time, there was certainly an allusion towards a relationship developing between Whittaker and her female, the black female friend, I can't remember her name, that never really got explored.
Oh, the younger one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't remember the actress's or the character's name because I really just skipped over the whole Jodie Whittaker fucking series, to be honest. But it's like, okay, I can tolerate a bit of that. I don't
Jodie, I thought you were talking to... Oh, sorry. For something, I went back to Capaldi and like the weird daddy-daughter relationship.
No. Jodie Whittaker was...
I think that... But
Jasmine. Jazz was her name. Yep.
But also, I think that's always been a bit of a problem when you think back to like the 60s Doctor Who. It was literally just like you think he's an alien. Like he's the alien's not falling in love. Like you think back to like the original Doctor, he was a dick. He was just a dick because he was just here. He was just doing his thing.
But he almost always had exclusively good-looking female companions, and I think there was always the assumption, it was never really dealt with, but the assumption that they were potentially following him because of a romantic interest, even if he didn't requite it. Who knows? But at the same time, I think in the modern Doctor Who, I can tolerate a level of sexualization of the character because it's been done and I accepted it before. And I've got no issues with the way they're approaching Nakuti's role in that now. He made an off-the-cuff comment about... Well, it was actually Tennant that made an off-the-cuff comment about finding Isaac Newton attractive.
Yep.
Whatever. And he had a fling with somebody else in the past. I don't remember who it was. It's like, yeah, cool. It was on point. It was funny at the time. Whatever, Trevor. I really hope that it doesn't become the fucking focal point the way that it did in Torchwood.
Yeah.
I don't need all my characters fucking everyone.
Yes.
I don't need. I
don't. Any show, you don't need that like. Oh yeah, we're just gonna have it's a character orgy now. It's like, well.
Diversity means the characters are there and represented. It doesn't necessarily mean the theme of the fucking series has to be about that character's, representation.
Well, it's also just the diversity. You can represent diversity without making them all fucking hornbags.
Yeah, like exactly.
People can be diverse in the way they want to express their sexuality without it being like, oh well, we need to show it now.
And I find a lot of Hollywood, and it's actually kind of gone a little bit political, and we'll pull it back in a second. But I think a lot of Hollywood and certainly Russell T Davies in the past has run the risk of it just ending up being way too two-dimensional.
Yeah,
a person's gender and sexual preferences is only one part of a very complex thing, that, myriad of preferences that goes into making a person. And yet when we include somebody who's gender fluid, that's all they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really poor way to represent it. And so I just hope there's a lot more depth to it. And I think if you can just go back to writing amazing
and that's where
shit,
it comes. I think that's where it comes back to we're specials versus a series. I think you can have a lot more development, especially looking at the diversity of development over a series, right?
And look,
and that's
Nakuti,
why this is going back to so many characters that we see in now being like shoehorned into movies and stuff. It's just like, no, that's a very complex character that needs probably a minimum 8-episode series to develop before you can just go, oh yeah, suddenly this person's in the film. Like you've got these cinematic universes growing, but they've neglected to use them for. That's where they should be doing origin stories, is in TV shows.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
How they then upgrade up to the big leagues, for example. Yeah.
I think Neil Patrick Harris did a brilliant job in episode 3. I thought he was a great inclusion.
He's been, and I feel bad for him, but he's already been memed heavily.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
From the 3rd episode when he's just like, well, that's all right then. I haven't seen it yet, and I already know that's something that he does. He's in like
he's
host.
He's zany, but he's and interestingly, he's zany because of his character background, not because of any diversity play.
No. It was purely based on the character, but it's just that particular scene has already been memed quite heavily.
Right. He did a brilliant fucking job. And he's playing a bad guy from season 2, released in 1966. So it's really cool for
and actually look through the history. Yeah.
For mad Doctor Who fans, he's an awesome throwback, and he nails it in terms of acting too. I thought he was really fun. I think he plays a character that's, again, and we know that Neil Patrick Harris is out, but he has an energy about him that makes that, I don't want to say fun, but I get the same impression from Nakuti Gatwa, and I don't know if the actor himself is actually gay or not. I've got no idea. But he's got that kind of energy where it's like, this is my preference, and it's all fun, and there's a lot of fun energy around him. And I think if he can,
it doesn't define
play that.
I think that's
exactly. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think the 4 episodes are worth watching. If you're a Who fan, the first episode was pretty fucking ham-fisted. The 4th episode,
and all 4 are on Disney Plus now. Yes.
Yeah, and this is the last comment I'll make before I wrap on this is the Disney Plus thing isn't just distribution rights. It comes with some strings, and I'm already seeing them being pulled. Right? So it comes with a Disney-sized budget because they are investing. Yep.
Oh.
So they are investing.
Oh, okay. I did not realize this.
And the 4th episode, which is technically the first episode in the new season.
So I was weirded out that I saw them on Disney Plus. I was like, why the fuck are they on Disney Plus?
Yeah. Because it used to be
Is that because
Binge.
BBC in America is on Hulu or Disney?
I don't know.
Or Fox?
All I know is Disney is now co-invested and has sole distribution rights outside of England.
Maybe it's because keep
so
going. Yeah.
They are now global distributors for Doctor Who outside of England, which will continue to be on BBC.
Cool. Well, not necessarily cool, but yeah.
So the 4th and final episode also did this weird, and I have attributed it to Disney's influence in a negative way. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but they did this whole really badly built hand puppet mini musical in the middle of the episode.
Okay. Yeah, right.
And it felt like, and I wrote this down, it was a Kmart version of the Labyrinth. Because you literally had badly made goblin puppets and the Goblin King, who was originally played by David Bowie. And there's a lot of singing and musical content in the Labyrinth movie. And it just felt like a really bad Kmart version of that in this episode.
So it did not remind you of the Babe.
And it was the Babe with the power.
What power?
Yeah, we're going to get swept away in that.
Power of voodoo, hoodoo, you do, voodoo. Remind me of the Babe. I saw my baby. So apparently Disney Plus.
Such a good song. Yeah.
October 25, 22. BBC and Disney branded television have come together to transform Doctor Who into a global franchise. How the fuck did we miss that?
Yeah,
or did we
talking
not?
About it.
Oh, okay.
No, we didn't talk about it. We did. I think we did mention that Disney Plus would be distributing it, but I didn't realize it was actual investment rights. I just all I know is I just hope overall the series isn't tipped towards catering towards children because of Disney's influence, and just walks that line on the side of existentialism and exploring the depth of being human the way that the old Doctor Who episodes did, that made me fall in love with Doctor Who again. Because it made comment on humanity in a way that no other TV series I think did at the time, and I think it's still sorely lacking in Hollywood today.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place for it, particularly now. Like we're the real world's pretty fucking dark at the moment.
And so, if there's any kind of TV show that was really on that level, and maybe you'd say like Lost, maybe.
I never watched Lost.
I didn't really either, but I know it had a pretty impactful hit. But definitely, yeah, I agree with what you're saying in terms of the way Doctor Who impacted.
Yeah, and just the way it presents the race optimistically on an intergalactic scale, while so much darkness is going on in the real world.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I hope Davies brings that back, because that was his signature on the fucking series.
Yeah.
So, and I think on that note, fairly positive note, I think we'll go to break.
We're going to have a break.
We will.
A wee break.
Hey. Hey.
Well, anyway, I think Snyder's a fucking hack, and you can put that in the recording. So there you go.
We're back with this news. Not a fan of Schneider. Look, I've got to be honest. Some of the shit that he's been saying about Fortnite, it's like, what the fuck is going on between
the man's on drugs.
Between this whole Rebel Moon fucking, I'm going to re-release my 2 movies twice. You can wait another 3 months after the second part of my movie for the R-rated version of the first part, and you can wait another 3 months after that for the R-rated. So what the fuck are you doing? Where you get more of your
C-3PO character.
What the fantastic.
Fuck? This brings up a big problem that I've got, and I want to talk to you about. No, I want to talk about this because this ties into Valhalla, which I just played, and BG3, which you just did.
Yep.
And it's director's cuts, and it's after the fact releasing another epilogue or something to add on to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck didn't you release it the first? Like, why didn't you put that in the start time? Like,
I think that's fair.
I get the idea of sitting back after you've done something and going, cool, I wanted to include this. I didn't for various reasons. I'm going to put it in now. But I think a lot more now. It's just like, well, fans didn't like our ending, so we rewrote it really quickly and we put something else in.
Yeah, I don't think that I understand and agree with what you're saying. I don't think it rings true for BG3. I just think that's maybe a bad example. I think BG3, they just ran out of time.
I'm using them as current examples. Same with Valhalla. I don't think it's the same for Valhalla. I think the Valhalla epilogue was fantastic. But why was it left off in the first time? Like, was it developed then? Is it developed as a reactionary thing?
Yeah,
I guess that's more my thing. Yeah,
I can see your point. What I don't understand about Snyder's, Rebel Moon specifically, is
director's cuts and things like.
Yeah. I think you're more kind of inferring more about the Justice League director's cut, and now we're getting
which I still haven't watched.
And now we're getting a director's cut of Rebel Moon, and it's pre-planned. But I actually think that's got less to do with...
It's the pre-planned thing,
I think it's got less to do with
yeah.
Snyder and more to do with Netflix. So they wanted to release a PG-13 blockbuster film just in time for Christmas. And so they made a PG-13 cut, not the way that he wanted to cut the movie. He wanted it... And we talked about this ages ago. He wanted this to be an R-rated fucking Star Wars movie. He always said that. And so we ended up with a PG-13 movie, and in 3 months' time, so in 4 months, in April, he's releasing part 2 to close that chapter. Yep. And then 3 months after that, he's releasing the first half as an R-rated director's cut, and then 3 months later, he's releasing part 2 as an R-rated. Like, what the fuck are we doing,
But also,
man?
why the fuck is he waiting 3 months between things to re-release it? I think that's egotistical more than anything.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've already done the R-rated director's cut.
Oh, yeah. And they filmed it back-to-back, by the way, because if you look at any of the behind-the-scenes footage after watching the first movie, there's a shit ton of footage in there from the second movie. So they were clearly filming.
Probably utilising the characters that he never utilised. Anyway, we're waiting for Dan. I'm not going to get into it. I wrote a lot of notes on it. That's
we're not waiting for... Yeah, we are. Yeah. I see what you're saying, yep. All right, so what are you drinking?
I am drinking something that movie didn't do, and it's called Turn On. Until that shirtless man Tom. Jumped on the Griffin. Oh, I was turned on then. Wow. That man had a rig and a half. My reaction exactly. So this is from Bracket Brewing. This is a hazy pale. It's got Motueka and Citra. It's just a really good hazy pale. And I really love Bracket. They're kind of local to me, and the guys behind the beers are really nice guys. And they do a really good job.
What was the ABV, sorry?
This one is 5.2%.
Okay.
Look, they're using Citra, which is, as we know, the cheat code in brewing a beer, which we've said before. But it works in this style. Like, if you're going to make a hazy pale... It's the right place
to put it.
Exactly. If you're going to make a hazy pale, just release going into summer, fucking smash out a Citra hazy pale. Like, there's no crime. It's not technically illegal. And you got to remember that. And they do an excellent job. They know how to use that hop, and they're balancing it with the Motueka coming through. It has that kind of that New Zealand earthiness, the earthy tones underneath the really bright citrus tones. And it's a really nice balance. I'm giving that a 4.25. It's a really, really good hazy pale. Not something I'd do as a core range, obviously. It's a little bit too much. But as a one-off, it's very delicious.
Nice.
What are you drinking, Peter?
I'm drinking a Daze beer, which, I mean, there's always can go one or two ways in my personal opinion. So this is Outrun. This is the Hazy Dipper.
Oh, look at that can art.
The can art's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
so cool.
It's almost a... I can't even... I'm just complete mental brain. I'm pretty sure I have early onset fucking Alzheimer's, to be honest with you. 8.2% is the ABV.
Oh, well, that'll do it. That'll bring on the early onset.
I'm only half kidding there too. The random facts that I know that I forget, it's just crazy for someone who'd never really smoked. It's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. Lots and lots of apricot. What else am I getting out of it? It's borderline dank without actually being dank, but it has a tang to it that's kind of right on that cusp. Peach. Yeah, I want to say peach. It's interesting color. It's certainly hazy as fuck. Yeah. Lots of peach on the back palate though. It's not unpleasant. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
3.75. Like it's well constructed, and I'm probably giving it more points than
away. But it's not blowing you away.
Yeah, far from. Far from.
You could say it's not outrunning you.
I wouldn't, but you could.
Wasn't that the name of the beer?
Yeah, it was.
Well done, Tom.
It doesn't hide the booze too well. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So, yeah, 3.75. Sorry, what was your score?
4.25. For the old boys down in Alexandria. Well done. Well done, team.
So now we're going to race through some reviews before we get into the spotlight and try and bring this back into some time. This was some interesting. I mean, you gave me the first two as homework.
Let's do the first one. Paint Hustlers.
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be more of a comedy from the trailer?
I didn't see the trailer, man. I went straight to the film.
Oh, I did. I thought it was going to be.
You gave me homework. I did my homework. Didn't think about
I did mine.
My homework.
Fuck it. You're the teacher, not me. I just remember seeing the trailer for this, and I was like, "Oh, cool! It looks like the way they cut it was really fast paced and clicky, and like bam, 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 bam." And I was like, "Oh shit! This is going to be like a kind of funny but serious take on the opioid epidemic." And then I was like, "Oh shit! It's serious."
It got real serious, real fast. It got
real serious, but brilliantly acted.
I think, mate, this was a cracker of a film.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so directed by David Yates, starring Emily Blunt, Chris Evans, and Andy Garcia.
Yep.
To me, this brought back memories of Boiler Room.
Mm-hmm.
Just really skirting the edge of legality and mostly dipping on the wrong side of the line.
Yeah.
And thinking that you can pull it back, but never actually pulling it back. Andy Garcia played a madman perfectly. It's a very believable, crazy guy.
He was weirdly good at that.
Yeah.
For anyone playing at home, David Yates directed most of the last Harry Potter films, just as a bring it in. I think the best thing about this was definitely Chris Evans playing a dick.
He doesn't.
It wasn't Chris Evans, Captain America.
But we already knew that he could play a dick.
Yeah, from The Grey Man.
Yeah, and I actually, you know what? Would you
say Glass Onion or whatever what was the one before that? Knives Out.
Yeah, more actually. What was the movie? What was the Marvel movie where he was talking about that is America's Greatest Ass, where there were two of him? What was that one?
That's Endgame.
Yes, I got the dick impression from him in Endgame.
Oh yeah,
and he can play with me ever since.
He can play the Boy Scout, or he can play the really arrogant. Dick.
Yeah. That's what I got from that. So, and he plays it here as well, but he also plays it in an endearing way in this film. And I think Emily Blunt took home the prize for best actor in the film.
Absolutely, yeah.
She really walks that line of the complexity of the character is portrayed really well, and ironically, even though it was based on a true story. She's a completely fictional character that was made up for the dramatization.
And I felt the way that she played that character, I felt almost weirdly personally connected in, like, I would probably ride that wave until that point.
Yep.
Like, I think that was the thing. So it's obviously it's talking about fentanyl, which is a highly addictive drug essentially for cancer patients.
It's a synthetic opioid. It's 100 times it's 50 times more potent than morphine.
Yeah.
It was actually created back in the 60s, 50s or 60s.
Good old Cold War.
It's apparently it's super easy to make.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research on fentanyl, and there's another drug that's now that's sweeping America at the moment that's 1,000 times more potent than morphine, and it's basically just killing everyone it touches.
Yeah.
But a lot of heroin. And it's 100 times more potent than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin is fentanyl. And the reason why it's being used to lace a bunch of other drugs is it's so cheap and easy to manufacture that a lot of people are lacing heroin with fentanyl. They're lacing cocaine with fentanyl. They're lacing crack with fentanyl. Like it's just everywhere in America at the moment. And it kills people because it takes 1 gram of fentanyl to overdose, as opposed to like 50 grams of heroin to overdose.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kills people. And the movie itself is based on a true story, but I really like Emily Blunt's character because she's someone who's impoverished. She's looking after a kid who has it's not a brain tumor, but she has a
growth.
A growth that causes seizures. She has no insurance, so it's like $500,000 surgery, and then she's thrust into this world by Chris Evans' character to make a shit ton of money on commissions selling fentanyl or a new delivery system.
And that there's that brilliant quote of, "You're not going to make $100K this year. You're going to make $600K." and how much that would corrupt even the best of us.
And yet she was the only character that saw the future, in the sense that she said, right, well, we're going to ride the crest of this wave until this point, and then we need to go legit or we're going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And when they finally got to that point, the CEO's like, nah, fuck that shit. I don't want to spend
I'm a
money
crazy
on it.
motherfucker, yeah.
And that's, it's just a really, really good film, well presented. It's funny in the right spots. It's complex and cathartic in the right spots. There's a real heartfelt, like I really felt for Emily Blunt's character.
I think one of the best things they did with Emily Blunt's character, and whether or not it's based on a true person or not, but it's, so as you said, her daughter has seizures, and it didn't matter how big and powerful she got. She was on the phone, like, at one point when she's talking to people and she's talking down to people, being like, fucking sell the shit. Like, I need you to make this money. The daughter breaks into a seizure and she just drops everything. And it really humanized that character. It really brought it back to, like, just to like ground level and being like, holy fuck, no matter how much money this woman has, she needs to be there. And she grabs her daughter's head and she brings her out of the, like, as the seizure, because she's the only one who can.
She's also like, the only person that never lost sight of what she was doing it for. Exactly.
Yeah. It was a really nice line of, like, pure human greed versus like pure human, like, suffering kind of thing. Like, I guess. Yeah. It was a really, really well done film. Yeah. Really recommend it to anyone. I as much as I thought it was going to be a bit more, like, fast paced and a bit fast and loose and comedic, hooked on every single, like, word by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't wait. Like, once it finished, I was like, holy shit, we sat here for 2.5 hours. Like, that was amazing. Like, that blew past me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix for anyone who wants to track it down. Really, really good. And
Pain Hustlers.
Yeah. Did you find, though, this is the thing, because I asked you to watch it as person in sales. Like, did it hit a different note for you, like, seeing the sales conferences and shit that they were doing? Like,
I need to correct the record, and I didn't at the time, and I elected not to. Okay. I've not, and I've never been a salesperson, and I never would be a salesperson.
Well, I've been lied to my entire life, so I'm just going to go and walk into the river and never come out.
Until my recent job change, I've been attached to sales teams intimately, because I'm the technical guy in the room that tells you how. So you got a sales guy that sells you the dream of hey, you should buy anything that this guy says from my company over to you, Pete. And then I will talk about, okay, well, this is your problem and this is your solution. So I'm the architect that designs an answer to the question that the sales guy gets the guy to tell us.
Right.
But I've never actually been a sales guy. But your questioning in that context is still completely on point, because I've spent the last 10 years around really good and really bad sales guys. Guys that will sell. Well, you can't. I don't know if you can say tea to Chinaman. I don't know if that's racist. If it is, I'm sorry. If it's not, I'm going with it.
It's like saying ice to an Eskimo. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Yeah.
But is it? But again, I don't know if that's racist. But anyway, so I've known sales guys that are really fucking good at their job, and sales guys who are just like, what are you doing, man? Just shut your fucking mouth. Let me do it. I can do it better than you can.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting with the Chris Evans character and his sales technique and then Emily Blunt.
The overly aggressive technique.
Yeah, he reminds me of the always be selling guy from The Wolf of Wall Street. And then Emily Blunt's character, I can see a lot of parallels with real life sales guys that I've worked with. Emily Blunt appeals to the humanity in people.
Yeah,
she understands the situation, she understands the personality, and she sells based on that. And that's what made her so successful in the film. And that's what makes salespeople successful in real life is...
I'll let Jasper in, sorry.
Sure.
Keep going.
It's an emotional sale. People buy based on emotions and then justify after the fact. Logic is always second.
There he is, the fucking sook. He's whining at the door.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut about 10 seconds of quiet out of that.
Yes. But no, yes, it's a brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant film. Yeah, highly recommended. Really watch it, and just it's also one of those ones you can kind of watch. You don't have to be invested in it the whole time. It was very casual viewing. I felt but when it hit, it
I
hit.
agree.
It hit, and you paid attention when it hit.
I got to be honest though, I couldn't put it down. Like
I'm the
held
same
my
with you.
attention all the way through.
Yeah. I wasn't looking at my phone. The only time I got up was to get another beer and just. But I watched it from the kitchen. It was like I chose my moment to when it was doing like a sales conference bit to go into the kitchen and get a beer.
Yeah. Gosh, other end of the spectrum.
Oh,
The next film is just.
This was the dumbest fucking film I've ever watched. It was hilarious. It was hilariously dumb. You got to admit.
It was so bad though. It was like if you took all of the actual funny moments out of Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, you get this film.
Okay, so we're talking about Please Don't Destroy Journey to Foggy Mountain.
The Treasure of Foggy Mountain.
The Treasure of Foggy Mountain. It's the most 420 movie that I've ever watched in recent years. It was so dumb and high. But we decided to watch it. It was made by, what's his name?
You told me I had to watch it.
No, I listed the movies that I've watched in the past days, and I said...
if I gave you homework...
If I had to watch Rebel Moon, then you need to watch at least one or two of these. I didn't say you had to watch every one of them. Anyway, so
I didn't experiment. I didn't experiment to see if I would enjoy it pissed off my head instead of stoned.
And the results are...
I did not enjoy it. It was stupid. It wasn't... There was.
Did you enjoy it up until a point? I think this is the question. I enjoyed it up until the point they found the treasure, and I was pretty pissed.
No, I had checked out when there were moments where it was so outrageously stupid. I found it entertaining that they even bothered to put it in a movie.
Yeah,
and so I guess in that sense it caused a laugh, so they succeeded. But other than that, it was just so ridiculous and see-through and predictable. I basically rolled my eyes all the way through the movie. It was directed by Paul Briganti and written by and starring three friends, Martin Healy, John Higgins, and Ben Marshall, who played Martin, John, and Ben in the movie. They didn't even rename their characters from their actors' names, and they're all SNL writers.
Yes.
And they're not ready for prime time. Sorry. They need to go back to writing skits.
No, they're not. But it was a pure 420 movie. I could
see myself laughing at it if I was stoned off my brain.
If we were high, absolutely. And it was like, and I did say that. I'd say it needs to be a 420 movie. Conan was in it. Conan was just yelling
surprisingly in it.
Yeah, and he was just yelling the entire time. But it was also Judd Apatow was connected to it somehow. I remember seeing his name in the credits, and I was like, really? He was involved in it? I watched it after like 8 beers, and I found it humorous. But halfway through, I think I maybe sobered up a bit too much, and I was like, oh, okay, this is dumb now.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that was just like, if I'd had an edible or I'd had a bunch of weed I could have smoked, and then I could have like doubled down on it, I think I would have just gilled my way through an entirely dumb film. It's just it's a dumb film.
I was surprised by the cameo at the end. So Gatton Matarazzo from Stranger Things cameos as himself, and it was a little meta that he did mention Stranger Things,
which I took as the SNL influence kind of into it.
Yeah. But no, it was just a really dumb movie that I wish I hadn't have bothered watching.
Well, Pete, you've made me watch shit, and I've made you watch shit, so now we're even.
Fair play. I don't hold it against you. Over to you for the next one, mate.
Yeah, there was no maths in that, so give me some credit.
I stand by that.
I've also had shall we call a preview screening of the Holdovers, which is coming out in cinemas soon. I was lucky enough to get this through means, which we will not mention. But hoist the black flag. If anyone saw Sideways and you enjoyed Sideways with Paul Giamatti and the director Alex Payne, this is same vibe, same. I wouldn't say plot, but like same kind of like thing going on there. It's those two guys back together again. It's brilliant. It's really well acted. It feels it feels very close without being like a screenplay that's in like one room.
I haven't actually watched Sideways either, by the way.
Oh, I think you'd really enjoy Sideways. Yeah, it's very dry. It's very dry wit. Very dry wit. But yeah, so it's got Alexander Payne is the director. Paul Giamatti is the main actor. Divine Joy Randolph is also acting in that. She plays the lunch lady, but also like a moral compass for Paul's character. And then the other guy they have in that is his name's Dominic Sessa. So they shot this film. The film's based in 1970 in a bunch of schools in the New England area, and so they shot it on location in these New England schools. And they were struggling to find. So Paul Giamatti plays a teacher, and they were struggling to find the student that plays opposite him, who is the holdover for the Christmas period. So the teacher had to stay at the boarding school for the people who couldn't go home.
Right.
It essentially becomes like a teacher-student bonding relationship. They form a friendship through external circumstances. But yeah, so they couldn't find an actor that they really liked as the student. So they went to the schools they were going to shoot at and said, "Hey, do you have any people in your theatre classes who would maybe like to audition?" So this is Dominic Sessa's first film role. He's a nobody. He's done some school plays, and he is brilliant. He is so naturally the awkward student without trying to be the awkward student that it really, really works. And the chemistry between him and Paul Giamatti is fantastic. So I really recommend it. Well, it's in cinemas now. If you can get a copy through certain oceans and seas that don't exist on territorial maps, then you do that. Not that I hit me up, I've got a connection. But yeah, no, like it's really, really good. It's a great thing, but it feels like a really well written screenplay that's been pushed to film. And it's shot nicely. It's within the 1970s. Like it all feels natural in that. Like you don't feel like you're being transported back. You feel like you're like, oh, I'm watching a glimpse of that era. It's not overly pushed. Like it's got, oh, we're going to put all like 70s music and that stuff. Like it's all naturally done. It's not like pushed kind of thing. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's very well acted, especially from the young guy, Dominic, who's not been in a film before, to see him naturally like portray that character. It's really, really kind of cool. It's very dry, very witty, but highly recommend if you want something that's like, not thought-provoking, but a little bit like set back and be like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Yeah. It's cool. It's have a beer over and watch and just enjoy. Yeah.
Nice. All right, I think it's time for us to get into our spotlight, which will be a particularly quick spotlight this episode, to be honest.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We do get sidetracked, as we know. So I think we're going to do a recap of our favorite. It was almost the best and worst, but I actually think let's stay optimistic and just deal with. I think it was best and
worst. Yeah.
I mean, I do have one flop mention, and you've got one too. I think that's okay, but mostly it's our favorite content for the year, and what are we excited about next year? So this is kind of a roll your eyes end of the year unimaginative episode topic, but bear with us. So games.
Well, do you want to go? Let's go flops first.
Okay.
Flop it out.
PlayStation VR 2.
What happened? We had such promise.
It's such a, you know what? The technology is there. It's impressive. The graphics quality, the force feedback was a nice touch. Like it really does add a dimension to, and the controllers are fucking brilliant. They're inspired controllers stolen from other VR technology.
Yes.
But the tech is there now. That's not what's holding us back. It's investment from studios. And it's suffering in the same way that the original PSVR did, but without the excuse that the tech is crap. Until we get more Quest 2 titles, it's just going to continue to suck.
I mean, is there anything I guess that's the thing. Is there anything you can see coming out that's like promising for that?
I haven't even been following it, man. That's that bad. Like I should, and I thought about it writing writing the show notes. I thought about, well, I should probably look up what's being released for it soon, but it's just so uninspiring. So maybe we'll cover that in the new year.
Well, I think there's the game that I've seen that's lately been like getting high reviews for, and I don't know if it's just meta, or the meta, whatever it's called. But Asgard's Wrath 2, have you ever seen anything? Have you seen much about that?
No.
Apparently, that's like I don't know if it's like the dying gasp of VR games, but everyone's been like, I've seen a lot of rave reviews about that as a VR title. I think it's like kind of cross-platform, so it might be something, because that's the thing. As I said with VR1, I'm waiting on you to go, now's the time, because you're the person who's invested in it. Like,
yeah. It's just So, look, I'll have to do some research and maybe talk about it in a future episode. There is some stuff that they're talking about online I can see at the moment, like potential for Half-Life Alyx to come into PSVR 2, which would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'll do some research and I'll come back on that.
I was talking about as my big flop was obviously Forspoken. I was pretty intrigued by this game when it first showed, and I was excited by it. I bought it when it came out, and then I played it for half a minute and shelved it instantly. And I think the biggest thing that came to that was, which is a big complaint for a lot of games in 2023 and going forward in 24, is that every big title now requires you to have an AI companion that just doesn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So there's a big complaint about that in like, I've seen complaints about it, but like Last of Us, and I don't agree with that because I think they were pretty well timed.
Last of Us?
Well, I think that's where they're saying it started, with where how you played as Joel, but then Ellie constantly talked to you.
Fuck off. That added texture.
I'm with you, obviously, on this, but I think that's where people are saying that's where it's, and that's what game developers trying to get to, where that added texture, but now they're just like, oh, well, you can't be alone.
Well, they misunderstood the fucking exercise, frankly.
Oh, preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing that's really like thrown me off a lot of, and it's coming into a lot of AAA games recently. It's just like you either have a character that has to talk to someone or just can't not talk to themselves. Take me back to the golden age where you played Ocarina of Time and you never spoke to a single fucking person if you didn't have to. Like, I think about like, and people are like, oh no, but it's immersion in games and you have to speak to people. I'm like, fuck off. If I had my way, I wouldn't speak to a single fucking person except my barista to order a coffee.
There's been lots of games where you don't until you get to a narrative point. So like Horizon, for example, you didn't talk to anyone in Forbidden West unless you needed to. But
Aloy constantly spoke to herself until they patched it out.
True, they did patch it out. You're right.
Yeah. And
this to the point where she was verbally solving puzzles. I think I might have made that comment. I completely forgot about that, Tom. Thanks for ruining that memory.
You're welcome. This is the thing that like they're bringing in these side characters. They're getting a character to talk to themselves, and they don't give you a chance to play the game as much as you would like to.
I made that comment at the time. Like you enter a puzzle area. You have to
actively turn it off.
Yeah, I entered a puzzle area within 10 seconds. She's like, I should walk 2 paces to my left and 4 paces to the forward and then pick up that crank handle and put it. Like, shut up. I'm fucking figuring it out, man. Like, what's the point of putting
looking at your background you've created. I'm sorry if you've created it too in depth that I can't see the crank handing out of, the deep grass.
No, I'm just enjoying figuring out a puzzle. Let me fucking do it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's a big
Aloy is
problem.
like me. Whenever I've watched movies with girlfriends and I figure something out early on in the film, I've never had that filter where I don't call it out. Oh, that's going to be the big bad. And more often than not, I've been right because it's not actually hard to figure out the Hollywood formula. I'm not claiming an intellectual advantage here.
Sorry. That's really bad allergy I've got right now.
But you knew who the big bad was straight away. No, it's more just, okay, these 3 are the big name characters or the big name actors. They're all good guys. They're established. That means the other big name actor has to be the big bad because why else fucking spend the money to cast him? It's not that hard to figure out.
No.
Anyway, this is just me getting my comeuppance. Let's go back to the positive stuff. Best games of the year for you.
Oh, Survivor. despite the bugs.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. You're absolutely right.
That story, that's one of the few games this year that's brought me to tears. The story that and if you haven't played it yet, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a big betrayal, and it really hit me hard. Because
I didn't see it coming.
Absolutely not. I did not, and I'm never going to pretend that I saw it coming because I never wanted to see it coming. Even after it happened, I wanted to deny that.
You're in denial. Yeah. You kept waiting for the redemption arc that never came. Yeah. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was beautifully written, and the music behind that game as well. On the way here at the time, like I listened to the Jedi Survivor soundtrack like every other week, and it's just it's beautiful. But it's just like that is my big win, despite the technical errors. And when I finally fixed the technical errors and got to do the thing that I couldn't do, again, not spoiling, but bounty hunting, and seeing that, amazing.
Like, that was such a cool cameo, yeah.
Especially for
I think we already spoiled that in a previous episode, to be honest.
About it. Yeah, but not being able to see it before it happened and then but waiting for it, waiting for it to be fixed and it being actually a nice payoff for waiting for the fix. That was cool. Yeah,
totally agree. I think we both put down. I'll come to my favorite of the year, but I think we both put down that Hogwarts was fun. It
was a beautiful way to jump back into that world.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it was well timed because it was getting to a point where
what else are you going to do with it exactly?
Yeah, we'd seen the movies, and they were kind of like and. I rewatched them every few years.
Yeah.
But it's now a part of history. And so it was the right time to add new content into that universe, in my opinion.
Yes.
And it was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. It wasn't a perfect game. It wasn't a bad game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, top to tail, and I played it from start to finish. I didn't put it down until it was done.
No.
Look, it stood out as fun. And I say that because I didn't put it down until it was done, but the minute it was done, I moved on and didn't give it a second thought.
Yes. No, I agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, BG3, so Baldur's Gate 3, was easily my favorite game of the year. And I don't think that should be any surprise to anyone who listens to the show. I'll talk about it a little bit in Are You Winning, Son? But that's all I'm going to say on it for now because I don't want to get into a rabbit hole for time.
No. I don't think... Not much else came out in 23 really. I
went through a full list, and I have to admit I didn't read every line of every game that was released in 2023 because it's fucking a very long-ass list, but nothing jumped out.
Yeah, I think of the games I played, and there were a bunch in there that was like, they were fun, but they weren't particularly
standouts.
Memorable. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 was pretty amazing.
I'm surprised it wasn't on your list, to be honest. I had to go back and check God of War Ragnarok, but that was November 2022.
Yes, that came out just before the new year. I think the only reason that Spider-Man 2 wasn't on my list of amazing games, I wanted it to be more. I felt it was a bit short, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
But I remember the only reason I blitzed through Spider-Man 1 when it first came out, the Insomniac version, was because I'd just broken my ankle and I was literally homebound and I had nothing else to do for an entire week but play Spider-Man, and I platinumed the game.
Yep.
I was playing this while working, and granted I took a day or two off to play it, but at the same time it was just I felt like for having 2 Spider-Man in it, it needed more content.
Yep.
Whether it was more villains, storylines to follow. Maybe they really touched on previous villains from previous stories in the game universe at least. Or something else. They made a few references to other things in the Spider-Man. It's just it felt like a skim off the top. I really wanted a really deep cut. And I think that's the only reason it's been pulled back. And I'm not going to say that it deserved any of the awards at the Video Game Awards more than any other games because there's a few of them I haven't played and I can't comment on those. But I'm still surprised that it didn't win any awards that it was nominated for. I think it was still a brilliant game, but just I wanted more from it from what I've seen before.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. It's one of the ones, again, I'll talk about it in Are You Winning, Son? Let's move on to TV shows. So when I made my quick list, and you know what? These are short lists on purpose.
Yeah.
I tried to stay away from anything that was a season 2 because there is exceptions. I do have an exception there.
What's your exception?
Particularly my exception is more in 2024. I tried to steer clear of, I'm really looking forward to Foundation Season 3 because it's like, you're not really saying much there. My favorite TV series that were net new in 2023 were Gen V, which was the spin-off from The Boys.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's exactly what you expect out of a university of superheroes. The dark, evil, sexual shit they get up to is well dealt with, and obviously there's a little bit of ick when, like, as you know, we're middle-aged men, in terms of how they deal with young teenagers, young 20-something-year-olds, late teenagers dealing with sexuality. They could have done that really badly. They did it really well. It's there, but it's dealt with well. It's exactly what you'd fucking expect too. Silo was a really cool. It's offbeat. It's different. It's new intellectual property that's well thought out and well imagined. Lots of conspiracy theory kind of based storytelling in a very small environment, which I thought was cool. And my last one was The Last of Us, which to me that was my favorite TV series for the year by a country fucking mile. I've watched that 3 times now.
Wow, 3 times, yeah.
But I would have said, I talked about it recently. Wheel of Time, Season 2. I really enjoyed that. That's a TV series in 2023, but it's not really saying much that it's a continuation of an existing series. So
I think it is in the sense that it's come around from what it was.
That one, yes. In that context, that it breathed life into a series that I think did a really bad job of its pilot season. Yeah, but like I said, like in terms of myself constraints that I placed on myself when I wrote this out, I kind of skipped anything that was another season of something.
No, I get that. Yeah.
What about you?
Look, I unfortunately, well, we've talked about this before. I'm struggling to get back into TV now. Like, I can't sit down and watch a series. The one series I've actually watched this year has been going back and watching old series of Taskmaster. That's the only thing I've actually sat down and really watched.
So, like, you haven't seen Loki Season 2, for example?
I watched, but it's again Season 2. It's.
I got halfway through and just I will watch it at some point, but it didn't compel me to watch it.
It really, unfortunately, for Loki Season 2, it really took to the last episodes to really hook you, and then it was like it was a brilliant end to the series, but at the same time, like, I wasn't excited by it. I don't think. Like, Last of Us, I never watched because I didn't have the binge at the time.
Do you have it now?
I do. Yes.
Have you seen The Last of Us now?
No, I haven't watched it. But this is half the problem. I can't bring myself to sit down and watch a TV series right now. Okay. I really struggle to do this now because anytime I watch a TV series, unless it really grips me or I can commit to the time it needs, I'd rather play a video game. I think that's just where I'm at. And that's been my problem over the last 24 months. I think we've talked about because I've talked about series that I can't get into that you guys have raved about that I should fucking be chomping at the bit for, but I'd rather play through it as a video game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a whole personal thing of like me and my the way that I interact with those mediums. Yeah.
Having said that, I've been looking at episodes or content that I've been consuming recently in terms of TV, and I've noticed a trend towards either lots of 15, 20-minute episodes, like you might get 20 or 24 in a season, and that's okay, because I'll spread that out on purpose because I know I'm going to have to wait another year for the next season.
Yeah.
But everything else is like 8 episodes. They're 45 to 55-minute episodes, but there's only 8 of them.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, like, I'd rather watch the shorter ones and spread it out rather than... I don't know.
I think you should watch Last of Us, though. I think
and that's the thing. I definitely should. I definitely should sit down and watch it.
You'll end up finding a way to make the time. I love the people who
act in that. I love them as actors.
Yeah. But I think you'll find that you'll make the time for that series because it will hook you pretty quickly. I think if it hasn't hooked you by the second episode,
but this is my problem. This is actually my problem currently looking at my streaming services and a bunch of them. There's a bunch of things in there that I'm like, holy crap. First episode, great. Second episode, great. Third episode, okay. And then I stop. I'm really struggling to get over that hump.
I get it. I don't think you'll have that issue with TLOU because the pacing
I don't think I will either because I obviously know the story and I want to see them do that.
That's not why, though. It's also they had a lot of content, narrative content to cram into 8 episodes.
No, but sorry, just for me, I think that's the thing that will push me forward is to get to that point because I know the story. I want to get there. I want to see it play out again.
Yeah, I get it.
So I've played the game like 4 times. Yeah.
But I think I understand where you're coming from, but I would add to that. This is a rare series that does not suffer from any pacing issues at all.
Oh, and that's the thing. I'm not saying it will suffer from any pacing issues. It's literally just thinking about a 50-minute episode, like it's already putting me off. Yeah,
I get it. I'm the opposite at the moment, by the way. We'll talk about it.
You've been chewing up content, which is great.
Yeah, I've had no real desire to play video games since BG3 finished. But we'll talk about that later. Did you have any other TV? No.
Not really. No. Nothing other side than what you've mentioned or we've already talked about, which is all, again, all season 2 stuff. Like it's all stuff we've talked about before and it's stories being wrapped up more than anything.
Yeah. Fair enough. Movies. So on my list to start with was Sisu.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Yeah.
Which to me is like The Boys and Gen V in it being unequivocal about it does not pull its punches. It just tells a story. It's gruesome. It's outrageous.
It was so outrageous. It was so good. Yeah.
And yet it also it's also completely different from The Boys and Gen V in the sense that the main protagonist hardly talks. There is no real dialogue in the film. It is outrageous and ridiculous. Like there's a connection to reality, but it's not telling a real story. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's fun in a really fucked up, I have a seat warming in hell for me kind of way.
Which is why I think that Silent Night is going to be so good because it's the same thing. Like the protagonist doesn't talk, but he just fucks shit up.
I'm so fucking disappointed that was not a Christmas release because it's a Christmas movie.
Is it not been released? Is it?
No. No.
I still got to watch Silent Night, which apparently is next level too. No,
which one?
Violent Night and Silent Night. They're the two.
Yeah, Violent Night. Have I seen that one? Yes, I have seen that one.
That's the one with David Harbour.
I'm pretty sure Silent Night's out.
It's out now in maybe theaters. Suey was going on about it.
I think it is in cinemas, but anyway.
Yeah.
In terms of my favorites, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, I think nailed the D&D motif.
I still haven't seen it, and I'm very keen to watch it though.
It's funny in the right ways, in the right places. It's dry in the right places too.
Yeah.
I talked about my first Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough where my main character was the typical fucking goody-goody two-shoes paladin. They have a typical goody-goody two-shoes paladin in Honor Amongst Thieves, and the way that he is portrayed is exactly the right way to portray him. It's dry humor in the fact that he's taking himself way too seriously and everyone else thinks it's fucking hilarious. The comedy beats in that movie are brilliant. And yet it tells an unequivocal D&D story and it does it really well.
Well, I think it's one of the things, like, I haven't seen it yet, but Emma's watched it, and she was just like, "Look, I don't really understand D&D, but I fucking loved it." I mean, I think that's a testament to someone like, or the story.
It's the granddaddy of adventure films, like or adventure narratives.
Yeah,
and so many movies have been influenced by D&D.
Yeah,
and so for them to tell the original story or one of like a story set in that original world, it's unsurprising that. I'm glad they did a good job because they could have shut the bed really easily. But it's really good place to tell that kind of story.
Phone-in job. Yeah.
Yeah. And the characters they picked for it, as much as we sat back, so Dan and I think more than you, sat back and said, Christopher Pine is not the first person I would have looked at for this role, and this could be really bad.
Yeah.
And yet his comedic timing made the fucking movie.
Which is what you want, yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one on my list was The Creator. That was...
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
I'm really... Yeah, so for me, that was better than good, but I'm really juggling, between D&D and The Creator for my favourite movie for the year.
I can see why The Creator would do that. I agree with you in that it was an exceptional film. Like, it was a very well-made film. The everything that was put into that from a design perspective, from especially from like a CG perspective,
even the way they told the story.
Yeah, it was so well done. And I'm with you guys. I don't agree with like it's the overdone or like AI story that was one of the reviews we got. Yeah, I don't think it's that at all. I thought it wasn't necessarily breaking new ground, but I don't think it was treading old water.
No. And I've never seen look, I'm a science fiction fucking nerd, and I read a shitload more than I watch. I'm starved for good sci-fi content on TV.
Absolutely.
I wish there was more. That's why I'm so in love with Foundation. Because it really does tell that intergalactic story that turns me on so much. And it's the Creator, when you're talking about AI and the ground that it's tread before, I can't think of a single movie in recent history that gives a humanity to artificial intelligence in the sense that it just wants to be left alone. It just wants to exist. It wants a right to exist.
That was the best thing about the film, was just how much it wanted to be left alone. Like,
yeah, it didn't want conflict. Yeah. It didn't want domination. It didn't want any of that. It just wanted to be left the fuck alone to exist. Yeah. It wanted a right to exist.
Which is exactly
that made the story very human.
Well, that's how I replicated with their thing. I was on their cause. I was like, yeah, absolutely, leave me the fuck alone. Like, don't talk to me. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
On the opposite polar side of that, my film of the year has to be the Super Mario Brothers.
And it's a brilliant fucking movie too.
I cannot get over how much joy that movie brings me, even post like watching it and then going back and watching it. Even like, yeah, Villeneuve, I watched it in my own fucking fuck you.
In your bathtub.
Yeah, I would watch it in the bathtub if I had one. It was just a testament to Illumination's animation style and how bright and colorful they can make an entire world. The music is next level good. Like, I know that like music directors over the years have tried to incorporate Mario's classic themes that were written by Kenji Kondo like into other medias. The way that Tyler Bates did that, and he incorporated everything into like his own Mario theme as well, like because he had his own Mario Brothers theme, but then he still incorporated classic ones. It was beautifully done. It was seamless. It was amazing. And I don't think I'd ever really think in my adult years that I would be claiming that an animated film was my film of the fucking year, but it was for me.
To me,
every note that I need. I haven't walked out of a cinema in that long with that fucking grin on my face. Just
I can totally see it.
Pure,
I can totally see it.
Unadulterated joy.
It's the magic mushrooms version of a film as opposed to the 420 films we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has that vividity that you don't get in a lot of movies. The only movie that comes close to it for me, and I hold in a similar high esteem, is Ready Player One.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that too. Yeah.
It has a similar palette where it's larger than life, it's bright, it's neon, it's video game-esque. To me, those two films are
full of 80s nostalgia.
But in a good way, as opposed to as opposed to the Marvels.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I haven't seen that film yet. Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Yes.
Every nostalgic 80s reference we can drop ham-fisted into a film in one go.
Weren't they 90s references? Close enough.
Yeah, you're right. They were 90s references. I'm sure there was a RoboCop poster.
Probably. But anyway. That was really the film that stood out for me. There were otherwise didn't really see that many films unless we watched them or we picked to watch them for this that we haven't already done to death. But yeah, it was, and I think this is pretty on point for us. That it's the fact that we're a little bit grasping at straws to talk about things that's on, especially TV and film and I guess games. That's going to be the next year. There's a pretty significant drought coming of content as a result of the strikes,
which we've talked about. Yeah, and to be honest,
it is the year for going back and looking back almost to look forward.
You know what's really funny about that statement though is when I was looking, and we'll talk about 2024 content in a moment. After I take a mini pause, but I actually struggled more to find game content I'm excited about next year than TV and movies.
Yeah.
We are already in a drought for games.
Yeah. Well, it's delays, but yeah. Go take a little slash down leg stump, and we'll come back after these message from our sponsors.
Yes, our many sponsors. So before we move into what we're looking forward to, let's do our fourth beer. It's pretty pissy.
Well, that's the best way to be.
8.2s.
That's the best way to be. What are you drinking, mate?
I am drinking my only Christmas beer.
Oh, okay.
Which is the 12 Hops of Christmas from Seeker Brewing. It's
that's a cool can.
It is a cool can. Yeah. I believe it's a hazy dipper. Well, it's listed as a hazy IPA at 7.7%, which kind of right on that edge between double and single.
Yep.
Look, I'm pretty pissy now, so I'm not going to pick up on the subtle flavors, but lots of tropical juice, lots and lots of tropical juice. There's a real strong dankness at the edges there, which is really nice. Actually, it's dank and vegetal. It's got that real hoppy, mully flavor to it. So
yeah,
God, I'm a 90s kid, you can tell. Just seeing if there's anything interesting on the can. There, Mosaic, Citra, Simcoe, Amarillo, Galaxy, Nelson Sauvon, Motueka, Southern Cross, Sabro Cryo, Cryo Pop, Strata, and Chinook Cryo. So they threw... I assume that's why it says it's the 12 hops of Christmas. I'm not surprised. It's
everything but the kitchen sink.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. As a night ender, it's not terrible. It's exactly what you'd expect out of a hazy APA. Hazy IPA.
Hazy PA.
Hazy. Yeah, no. Don't put your hand out like that, Pete. It's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 4.25.
Nice.
Tom, what are you drinking, mate?
Well, in a wrap up of the year, I am doing the end of a series. So I think I've done a few of these on recording before, but it's a Hawker's
This is going to be... Okay, sorry.
What was it going to be, Pete?
I thought it was going to be the fucking Garage Project numbered series. Finally, we're at the end. Sick of these fucking beers.
If they'd done a December release, I would have done it. No, this is Hawker's Summer. So this is part of their 4 seasons review. The best thing is I have this is going to be the 4th can, so this is the 4th one, but They all line up in a row on my beer fridge, which I put the labels on, which looks really, really kind of cool, and the colors meld into each other. This is their West Coast IPA. It is 6%. It is a very, very well-made classic West Coast IPA. They're not
a bit of haze, or is that chill?
No, a bit of chill haze. They're not redoing a West Coast IPA. They're not changing whatever they're doing. They talk about actually that for every release they've done the same raw ingredients, but then adapted it to the style.
Okay.
But this fits summer. In the winter, they did a double West Coast IPA. You want something really big and boozy for winter because you want to be warm. This is nice and boozy, but at the same time, it's light enough that like I would quench this on a hot day. It is quenching. It doth quench, as they say.
It doth quench.
It is beautifully piney. It is beautifully dank. It is a really, really, really well-made West Coast IPA, and I applaud Hooks for that. To the point where it's 4.5 for me.
Okay.
4.5. Nice. And yeah, it's a nice way to round out this quarterly series. And I was worried with the loss of the bottle shop that I used to run that I wouldn't see this one come through, and I saw it in another bottle shop, and I jumped on the can. Like a creep, actually. It looked probably pretty weird in their CCTV, but I don't apologize. I'm glad to have finished out the series. I've done a few beer series before where I've missed like one or two throughout just because of reasons. So it's nice to finish one of these series and just see the development of the beer over those four. If I was going to give a recommendation for the Hawkers for their 4 seasons, fucking make Autumn. That red IPA you did was so fucking good. So yeah, it was the best.
Gotta say, Hawkers are my go-to these days for.
They make fantastic limiteds.
Heavy fucking double stouts.
Yeah.
Triple stouts. I've got
Well, I sent you the image, so I was lucky enough to be able to get 2 of the beer advent calendars over the Christmas period. And Christmas Eve, both beers were a Hawker's barley wine, but one was a maple kind of bacony version, and the other one was like a dark barrel aged version.
This is also the first year
to see them releasing those beers on the same day, but so kind of polarizing in their flavors.
They've always got 10 limited release fucking
they're mad scientists down there.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I mean, for all those limited releases, there's
witchcraft. It's all witchcraft.
I was going to say this is probably the first year in a long time that we haven't done the Brick Lane Trilogy of Fear at around Christmas time, because usually we're reviewing that trilogy around Christmas, New Year's time, and
it's because we save them for the in-person recording.
So while
you've
been talking, I've been online, and I'm not sure that. There's 4 limited releases and they look like they're Trilogy of Fear, but I'm not sure that they are. So I'm going to have to catch up with that. There's some interesting beers on the Brick Lane Brewing site if anyone's interested. Anyway, moving on. 2024, what are we looking forward to?
Gaming-wise.
I think so the first one is a continuity or a continuation of what I was talking about earlier. So enthusiastically, which is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
Yep.
I still have the collector's edition tin and purity seal on my fridge, actually, from Warhammer 40k Space Marine 1. It was a flop of a game. It was fun for about 20 minutes. It reminded me of Quake.
Cool.
Which is showing my age, to be frank. Yeah. It just didn't really deliver on the promise, so I'm hoping Space Marine 2 does. And then the other game, I think we're all looking forward to.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Star Wars Outlaws, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're well overdue for a Star Wars game that focuses on the outlaw side of things. Like, we kind of started that with Jedi Knight 2, because you played as Kyle, who was a smuggler. And then Shadows of the Empire, where you played as fucking what's his name? It was another alliteration name. Both names started with the whatever. But yes, it's a smuggler game, and that seems to be. And look, if that's as far into, if you discount Force Unleashed, which kind of went to the dark side, but that's as far as like dirty and dark as like Disney and Star Wars want to get, then fine, yeah. Let's play as outlaws. They like, you can be a good outlaw, you can be an absolute badass outlaw if you want, and let's hope they give you the options to do that. It looks amazing. It looks like a AAA game should look, and it looks like honestly, it looks like the Star Wars films, the sequel trilogy should have looked in the depths.
I agree.
The depths of the society that you're dealing with. Yep. You're not just skimming over all these, like the cantina. You need to be involved in the cantina.
Yeah. Agreed. They could have been a mini game.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad they didn't make it one, but it could have been easily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, agreed.
The other games I'm excited for, Rise of the Ronin looks a bit Ghost of Tsushima-ish, but
I was on the fence about whether or not I included that, to be honest.
Well, I'm not too thrilled about the studio behind it because I've never enjoyed many of their games. They're a bit too arcadey. The other one's Pacific Drive, which I'm excited for, which is like the
Burnout Paradise kind of.
Burnout Paradise if the world is going to the shit.
Yeah.
But you exclusively
but you can
drive.
see what I'm saying with Burnout Paradise as a reference, right?
Well, yes and no, in the sense that you are driving the Griswold family car and then the world goes to shit. Yeah. Yeah, but that was the one that it featured in like a E3 or maybe a Mr. Punchable Face showcase
last year, 2021.
Yeah. And it's you're driving an old American family sedan and the old Volvo. And,
it looked really cool actually.
Yeah, but it's like the world's like literally falling to shit as you drive through it, and you have to drive fast enough and still pick up all these things, and it's like, oh, cool, it's actually a really clever idea. So yeah, that's meant to release next year, but we'll see if it actually happens because I don't believe anything anymore.
Fair enough.
Here you go, Peter. Fly with me. Believe.
I'm leaving that alone. TV. So I've put down.
I've got nothing for TV.
So let me rip through mine then. Fallout TV. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I'm crossing my fingers it's good.
I thought that was 205. Oh, damn it.
No, I'm pretty sure it's. Oh, don't make me second guess myself, fucker. I am frequently very confidently wrong.
Let's say it's 2024.
I am frequently confidently wrong, but with all my gusto, I am wrong. Fallout TV release is 12th of April 2024. Okay. So we got 4 months to wait.
That is on me. That is on me.
Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to I just pray it's good. I've broken my own rule with a couple of these. The Last of Us 2, Season 2. And
no, I think that's fine. Like, it's when you think about it, it's
really looking forward to it.
It's also really hard for a sequel series to add up to an initial series.
I think that's true in most TV, but this is not a traditional Season 2. Yeah. This is part 2 of a narrative masterpiece being told through a second season of TV. I don't think they're going to
ideas from a narrative masterpiece. I've had several beers. Let's not get into that.
I don't think they're going to struggle with telling a good story in season 2. In fact, I actually think if they're, you know what, I'm going to say this, and this might be a little bit, people might disagree, and please like and subscribe, and feel free to add a comment if you do disagree. But
because I'll fight you if you do.
I actually think they could stretch the second game into 2 seasons pretty easily without it feeling
second game
drawn out. Yeah.
Which game? Lord of the Rings.
The Last of Us 2.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Rings of
Power.
No,
we're still talking Last of Us.
Damn it.
So Last of Us Season 2, I think they could stretch the second game into 2 seasons. So they could do TLOU season 2
I think I said
and
this to
season
you
3 and cover the second game.
months ago. It's surprising they smashed the first one into one season.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why I said of any TV series on TV at the moment, it's one that does not suffer from pacing issues other than it feeling a little accelerated at times.
Yeah.
But they glossed over content. They didn't really skip too much that was narratively important. But I think season 2, they could slow it down a little bit. They would do with slowing it down a bit.
Okay.
Just to give the characters a little bit of room to breathe, particularly with the second game. There are more characters, and there is a lot more development to go through.
And there's a time gap.
There is. There is, which is kind of surprising that they're doing it in 2024 now that I think about it. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Season 2. I just want to see... There was a lot of open questions at the end of the first series. It wasn't a perfect series or a season. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I thought we were talking about this and then I skipped ahead. They rushed the last 2.
They did. Yeah. They did, for sure. The next one is actually the one I'm looking forward to more than anything, which is Star Wars Acolyte.
It's the unknown, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's got such good potential. High Republic, more Jedi than we've ever seen before. They're almost commonplace.
Yeah.
They've said.
Well, they're more like a police force.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Because you're going from the original story, which was space wizards and they're rare as hen's teeth, to they're fucking you can throw a rock and hit one.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on that with the early films of the prequel, where you're like, oh, there's a bunch here, like 200 descended on a Colosseum in Geonosia, but like, I'm with Dan on this in that it's a worry that when you interview cast about it, no matter how early doors, but they couldn't answer very basic questions about the universe. It's just like, well, how much involvement are you giving it? And it's just like, look, sorry, you're playing a character piece. Like, I don't need you to be method actors. I don't need you to be going off killing younglings, but I need you to really
understand the fucking universe you're participating in.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So I'm with Dan on that I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't matter because Dan's not going to watch it anyway because he's cancelled his Disney Plus because he's
and I probably will have by that time anyway too. So and just a quick correction: The Last of Us season 2 is due out in 2025. So that's my bad. Shouldn't be on my list. And the last one I have on my list is the Alien TV series.
I thought it was a movie.
I'm pretty sure it's a series. Hang on. No, it's a confirmed Alien TV series.
Is
Noah
Alien
Hawley's upcoming TV series?
Is Alien Is Alien the kind of thing you can do in a TV series? Do you think? Can you carry that?
No, not in the traditional sense of it being a
horror sci-fi.
You can't build up the fucking tension in a TV series the way that you can in a movie. I
remember watching the first Alien and literally shitting myself,
holding your breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you do it as a TV series? Yeah, they could go back to colonial Marines against the aliens. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Could we go back to Prometheus and maybe make it a more coherent story? Probably not.
I think you could easily make it a more coherent story. Anyway, moving on. Movies. We've got Jesus. Look at the time. Movies you're looking.
Deadpool 3. You're just gonna have fun watching it, no matter what happens. It's Ryan Reynolds, it's Hugh Jackman playing their characters. They're the characters they've played for years. I agree with Dan in the sense that Furiosa potentially looks like it's not coherent enough with the source material, in the sense that it's not dirty enough. It looks a bit clean. It's the way they're filming it feels a bit off.
Yep.
I don't think they'll fuck up the character.
I think we're gonna,
especially with Miller back.
I'm looking forward to watching it. I whether it's good or bad, I'm still looking forward to watching it right now.
Yeah.
The Borderlands movie is due late 2024. This is going to be interesting. Let's just go with interesting. Bobby Lee, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kate Blanchett. There's a all-star cast in it.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate a pop-out, cel-shaded, over-the-top comedic fucking video game series into a movie. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do with it.
What about June 2? What are you thinking about that?
I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to June Part 2.
Do you think it will be on par with the first? Or
I do.
You do?
I actually genuinely do. As much as I fucking hate Denis Villeneuve, I think the epic scale of the movie will be almost perfectly a perfect continuation from the first movie.
Yeah.
I think it'll be quite seamless. I'm looking forward to that because there aren't many epic movies coming out that we're aware of at the moment.
Isn't Joker 2 meant to be out next year?
Yes, Joker 2 is meant to be out. I think the Penguin TV series might start 2024.
Yeah, okay.
Not 100% on that, but yeah.
The other thing, apparently Gladiator 2 is coming out.
No, I'm not even touching that with a barge pole.
You don't think it's going to happen, do you?
No, I think it will. I'm not looking forward to it. It's like, you told a really good story in an epic way. It didn't need a fucking sequel 15 years after the fact. Like, I don't need to see Aurelius's... Is it Aurelius? Maximus Aurelius fucking Vaginus. I don't need to see his son carry on the legacy. I just don't.
You know, the one actually that I know is a cash grab. I know it's a cash grab, but I'm kind of excited for it. Kung Fu Panda 4. I'll fucking watch it. I will
watch it too.
Yeah,
just for Jack Black's fucking voice.
Absolutely. I think it'll be stupidly fun, and like, look, we need a bit more of that. Some stupid fun.
True. On that topic, Tom,
we're done.
Are you winning, son?
No, I'm not, because the internet has let me down. I didn't want to put this on you guys, but I've gone back to Doom Eternal, and I've been trying to find some people who needed the online multiplayer.
You're a dope.
No,
I've got the game. I've got it installed. I'm ready to go. Say the fucking word. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Fuck. Well, I'll cancel all my forum posts then. No, I've actually been going back and doing. It's been very stressful, but I've gone back and done the limited lives versions. So you go back and you play through like any of the story content, but you have to finish with a certain amount of lives in your bank, and you only get like 8 in the thing, and you have to finish with 5. And holy shit, I have not held on to the bottom of my chair more than I have playing that. It's insane. I played through all the DLCs. I don't know if Dan's played through them yet. And look, I've spoken to you guys in length about how much I love the like science fiction horror version of Doom 2016. This is so fantasy heavy. It's so fantasy heavy. So you end up killing God, who is you, but bad. I think. I'm not sure. I can't figure out what happened in the story.
That's a fucking short right there.
Yeah. Seriously. Like, what the fuck happened in Doom Eternal? I think that's it. I'm not sure. But yeah. Anyway, look, you kill a whole bunch more demons. The DLC, though, was great from a story perspective. But the thing they say when you start the DLC is, oh, cool, playing the same difficulty you played, but we're going to put in like 20 more demons per like thing. So their whole thing is like, you're playing at the same difficulty and the same amount of damage that your guns do per demon, but we're going to add 30 more demons per encounter, roughly. Let's just say as a number, to the point where it's actually ungovernable, and I've had to drop down my difficulty level, and now I'm playing on bitch mode. Now I'm Dan. I was playing on like semi-bitch mode. But now I have to drop down. Now I'm Dan, I'm a bitch.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not winning, son, because I'm Dan and I'm a bitch. And he's not here to defend himself. So I can say it.
Yeah.
But Peter, are you winning, son?
I am. Well, I did. I did
You did?
win. So I got the Platinum Trophy on Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm actually really fucking proud of it.
You should be. What
What
did I say you were? You were one of
the first 750 to platinum it. Or might have been 778. I don't know. Less than 800.
Let's say 750. It's more impressive.
I mean, I played. It's the first game I've ever played back to back. So finished the game, 160, 170 hours to finish the game the first time.
Yeah.
Immediately went back to play the game from scratch. Was excited to launch myself into it.
Biggest fucking most impressive thing. The fact that you did that and then just jumped straight back into it.
Yeah, but it's worse than that. I was planning my characters for my second run through before I finished the first run through. I had to pull myself away from planning my third run through in my second run through. I'm like, I still haven't played a monk. I still haven't done this. Still haven't done that. Yeah. Haven't played a truly evil fucking character and really pushed away some of the other NPCs. But no, I went straight back. I cleaned up. I had, I think 10 trophies, maybe 15 trophies I had to get for the platinum in the second run. I have to admit that I really set a hard challenge for myself because the core trophy was finish the game in the hardest difficulty, which there was the patch 5 came out midway through and added a whole new level of difficulty, which has its own trophy as a DLC trophy.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's nice.
So that's permadeath. That's one save game.
Oh, yeah.
That's if your party wipes, it will delete your save game. It also stops you from save scrubbing, which is something that I have to admit to having to do the second playthrough twice, where you have to get a roll.
You can confess your sins here. We're all family.
You have to get a roll over a certain threshold, and I'd run out of re-rolls. And it's like, it's either this or I really I fuck up 2 of my trophies I need for the platinum run and have to start the run again. So I loaded and then attempted the second time and got past the roll. You can't do that in the new difficulty mode because the minute you load a save, it deletes the save.
Copy.
So they've really amped up the fucking challenge. Yeah. But I have to say, I enjoyed the game thoroughly the second time round the same way I did the first. I did take some shortcuts the second time round in the third act because it's like I've hit maximum level. I've got all the gear I know I need to beat the big bad at the end.
Yeah.
I don't need to do these 4 side quests that I've already completed. That's another 20 hours, 30 hours of gameplay that I don't need to complete.
Yeah.
I want to get the platinum trophy and just pursued that. And then saw the epilogue for the first time.
Yes.
Now, I talked about this in the last episode. They added an epilogue with patch 5 when they added the jiggle physics for cocks and balls. I didn't really realize how big that was. But the epilogue...
In what sense?
Well, when I finished the game the first time round, it kind of... there's a bit of a cutscene after the fact and it kind of closes the game down to an extent, but you don't really get closure with your characters in your party. You get closure for your main character and that's it.
Yeah, right.
But the characters that you have elected to take on the journey with you and the choices you've made along the way that affects those characters never really gets a look in. And then they added the epilogue and every character in your party has its own little cutscene at the end. And all of the choices that led up to them being in your party and along the way affects how that cutscene plays out. And so when I talked about the 17,000 endings, that's where that really translates. They spent a shitload of time adding that epilogue because it adds chunks of cutscenes, every character in your party at the end, for every choice that you might have made along the way.
Okay.
So there's not 17,000 endings, but there's probably, they would have had to have recorded maybe 100 chunks of cutscene and then sewn it together depending on your particular scenario.
Okay.
And so I really want to go back to my first playthrough and see how that epilogue ended because it was very different from the second one.
Can you do that?
Yes, I kept 2 or 3 of the save games from the first campaign, so I can do that.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the fucking game. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It did call me to play a third run through, and I resisted. I rolled a 20 and managed to successfully resist that
Samwise
save.
Gamgee. You threw down the ring and said, no, thank you. I don't want to be the best gardener in the Shire. Yep.
But I've also had no intention of turning on my PlayStation since.
Okay.
So I think in a few weeks' time.
Is there? Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything you intend to play going forward?
Yeah, so I think in a few weeks' time I will download and play the God of War DLC, Valhalla.
Beautiful.
I will then play Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yep.
And then I'll decide whether or not I want to play AC Mirage because I've got the game. I just don't really have any impetus right now to play the game.
I was actually thinking the other day, I was really, obviously I've been stuck in a Doom cycle, which is probably hell. I don't know if that's the case. It's one of the circles, just internally playing Doom. It's pretty good. But I was really desperate for a story and I almost booted up. I was tossing up between Origins and Syndicate. And I was about to message you to say which one's better. Because I just look, they're not the greatest games, but I wanted something like an AC game to just sink my teeth into. Yeah.
Syndicate's definitely more of an AC game than Origins. Origins has a decent ending.
Origins is just
but it's a hard slog to get there.
It's big like Odyssey, isn't it?
It is.
Because I haven't played anything since Black Flag.
But I still have, weirdly enough, I still have fond memories of the Nile River in Origins and climbing over the Sphinx and climbing up the pyramids.
Well, yeah, they were two.
So it's not an unredeemable game.
There were 2 of the options on the Ubisoft collection on PS Plus. So, like, Valhalla's gone, so I can't do that. So I was just like, maybe I'll play one of these. I might hit up Pete, see which one he preferred.
I probably would have told you to play Syndicate because it's a smaller game. But I have good memories of both.
Yeah. I'll toss it up.
But everything I've seen about Mirage is atrocious.
Yeah.
Combat system is fucked. Gameplay is poxy. Graphics are worse than the last game.
Which is real problem if someone's releasing something on PS5 and they're like, oh, well, your PS4 hybrid game's better than that.
Look, like 5 YouTube reviewers that I watch regularly have all said that the combat is worse than what was the one that preceded the Civil War one that preceded Black Flag?
AC3?
AC3.
Yeah.
There's no seamless combat anymore.
Oh.
It's just, it's really clunky.
That's disappointing.
That's Ubisoft.
That's Ubisoft.
Just keep milking that fucking cow, man.
Yeah.
Let's see how poxy we can make a game and slap a logo on it and still sell.
We'll find out with Star Wars Outlaws. I think that's our run out of the this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for us. I think that's our episode.
That is our episode.
It's the one that we slipped in between our Christmas and our New Year's. So this will come out in like a day or two because I want to get this episode out before New Year's. We're recording on the 28th, just so we're all clear.
And then Pete's going to pull a miracle. He's going to pull a peach out of his arsehole and stick his thumb in something else. I don't know what he's going to do.
See what happens.
Yeah, but it's This is our little thing we wanted to do for you as a little review of the year. Like it's been a weird year.
It has been a weird year. But if you've been listening, we just wanted to say a big thanks.
Absolutely.
Season 6. Pretty happy with that.
And look, platonically, we love you, unless you're my dad listening, and I actually do love you because you're my dad.
But still also platonically.
Well, yeah, more than a friend. Love you because you're my dad. But yeah, you don't have to support me this much. You're a freak.
And we will see you in 2024, where we'll do an in-person recording to kick off the year. Jeez, okay, keep drinking. And then we're going to mix up the format for our podcast.
Tom had an idea.
Tom had a really good idea.
We're going to roll with it. See, so there'll be some changes in 24.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you everyone who's listened to us for the last year, for the previous years before that. We really do appreciate your support. And also we have started ham-fisting in the like and subscribe and comment, but also we want to fight you online. So send us comments because I will fight you online.
Please do it.
Yeah. It entertains us endlessly.
If you have an opinion, if you disagree with us, it's even better if you disagree with us.
Yeah.
Fucking add your comments.
Let us know, and we'll maybe we'll get you on.
But hit us up on. So I just want to say, hit us up on Instagram or email if you have comments. The problem, so something I only realized recently is well, actually, I think I've talked about this like 3 years ago. iTunes is separated per country, so we could have 1,000 1-star reviews and a shit ton of comments on iTunes in America, and I can't see them. I have to use a fucking proxy to see the US version of iTunes because all our reviews are the Aussie reviews. It's so stupid.
Well, we have a Facebook and an Instagram, so hit us up
abuse us on social.
Hit us on Meta, and we'll Meta hit you. I don't know what that means.
Just don't X me, because fuck X.
Yeah.
Fuck X? Yeah.
Fuck X? Okay.
So some missing words there, but anyway, yeah.
So, no, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate all your support. But this is going to be myself, Tom, and Pete.
Signing out.